years, we can't borrow money on the basis of sales tax revenue for further capital projects. And in discussing the need for a sixth grade center, I haven't heard talk about what are all of those other urgent facilities needs that are going to come up in the next 7 years. What could be better than the proposed sixth grade center? There might be something out there. It's true that the proposed bond issue does leave some that projected 1/3 of sales tax revenue. It says you can use that for pay-as-you-go projects, and that's true. Well, almost it does, because in the first 4 years when we're making those interest-only payments, we're actually kind of dipping a little bit below that 1/3 threshold, more like 25%. But the issue remains. Thanks. This one project ties up much of our capacity to spend. The larger issues I see it is we're ignoring what else could be done with these tax revenues. Are we truly in a crisis that requires this massive, immediate, and costly action? Sales taxes are paid by everyone in our town, regardless of income, regardless of neighborhood, regardless of your background. Incidentally, so are property taxes. They're just when renters pay, they pay in the form of rent. They're passed on from landlords to renters. Everyone should believe that the money that that the board spends is invested well, and it doesn't feel like that to me right now. When we make these large future commitments, we spend significant sums of that commitment on interest. It's symptomatic of how things have gone since I moved to Urbana 4 years ago. There's this unwillingness to engage in long-term planning. Instead, we focus on the latest thing and ignore how it impacts the next thing. Just think, we're building a sixth grade center right now. We have many other facilities challenges we'd like to tackle, and we will be paying this bond back in 2038 when my daughter is entering her senior year of high school. That commitment to the sixth grade center that we needed to do right now. So I'm concerned that we're pushing our fiscal capacity to its limits, tying the hands of future USD 116 boards and administrators with this sixth grade center project and the means used to pay for it. I hope in the future, given that it seems like the sixth grade center is the thing that is happening, the board and the administration will engage in long-run strategic planning for major capital projects that is matched to the timeline over which the money is raised to pay for those projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else wish to make a statement before the board right now? Going once, going twice. All right, thank you. Moving on. There is no call for an executive session after tonight's meeting. So is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda as amended?
I move for approval as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's move on with our accommodations and recognitions. So Coach Douglas, could you come forward and tell us all the awesome things that the UMS track team did at state?
Okay, while we invite our UMS team, I do want to tell our elementary families, if you came in after we mentioned the agenda change, so we're going to recognize our athletes because we had a little time mix-up, and they are here a little earlier than expected. So we're going to go ahead and recognize them before the elementary art presentation. So, all right.
Good evening, board. It's been a long time. First, I would just want to say thank you for allowing us the opportunity to come and do this recognition to this team. Our Urbana middle school boys, 7th and 8th grade girls as well, have been working really hard. I think so.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Has been working really hard. It's just a little awkward lean. Has been working really hard over this season. First, my name's Paul Douglas. I'm the interim head coach. I'm going to allow the coaches to introduce themselves really quick.
Kendall Arrington. I'm the assistant coach.
Kahaja Burley, Coach KB, the other assistant coach for Urbana Middle School.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Douglas, and I'm also an assistant coach with the track team.
So we have definitely a talented staff. But just want to say, first, get it out the way, thank you, one, for the board for approving me to be the interim, then also Dr. Everett Tatum as well with our AD, Mr. Russell, who's filling in, who's doing an amazing job at that AD role, for all the support that we've had throughout this season. If you see, that's our singlets that we were able to get this year, and they came in a timely need, especially that we came going into sectionals in state, so I want to say thank you. Also, other resources that we utilize, Coach Willie Taylor, Coach Blandon, awesome job at helping us get our relay teams to where they needed to be on the boys and girls side. It was just a whole team effort, and very thankful to have that. We came in with one goal at the parent meeting, was to win a state championship, and wasn't sure how we were going to get there, but definitely we seen the athletes that were, that we had walking through the school. And so to start the season off with 100+ track runners, boys and girls, it was like, how we're going to get down to, that 50, 60 mark. And even by the end of the season, we still were having 60 to 70 kids participating in track. Even when they knew there was no track meet to be ran, they still came to practice. So the dedication from the kids was there. But jumping in, sectionals. Our girls 7th grade went to sectionals, and we lost out by 4 points from winning a sectional and bringing a sectional home to the Urbana Middle School, and by losing just in not having all the events. And so that's going to be our big push for next year. If I'm here, I know if the coaches are here, we're going to be pushing more for having all the events covered on the girls and boys side. Then we get to state. Sectionals, Cameron, 8th grader, went for pole vault. Elijah, 7th grader, went for pole vault. Mr. Jones, Reginald Jones, went for 200-meter dash, 400-meter dash. Our 4x2 team, which I'm just going to talk a little bit about, and our 4x2 team qualified for state by the slimmest margin. We ran a 157. I don't know the exact numbers. We ran a 157. You needed a 157, I think 9 to get in. We barely made it in, and then they went to state and dropped 3 seconds and took 6th in state to upset a lot of teams. So I'm going to do an introduction of that team. Amaya. Step forward. Yeah, Amaya. Danae. Janae. Olivia's not here. Aiden. And Amia. So we have. So this is our 4x2 team. Why we keep talking about the team is promising, this team is made up of 2 6th graders and 2 7th graders. They do hold, I checked it before I came, they actually do hold the school record for 4x2. We're going to move over to the 4x1 team. If Tremera, Veldy, Gemma, Francisca, Azariah, and then Olivia, I know she's not here, if they could step out. This team has been working all season on handoffs, and has kept us really grounded as a staff to see what can we do better for them to make sure we're putting them in the best position to succeed. And we got to sectionals, and we coach run against the clock. This team has been running in that first, second place, but going into state, it's only going into sectionals, they take the winner, and then if you qualify for time. We took second, we qualified by time though. So we get in, we get put into the slow heat, and they run a 54-13, which takes third in state. 53. Oh, sorry, 53, my bad. It is a big difference. 53-13, and take third in state, which actually knocked out all the ones that we did lose in sectionals, and we did it from the slow heat. So I just want to say congratulations, and they do hold the record. We have some individuals to acknowledge as well. I will start with Veldy, who is also, and let me just back up to that 4x1 team. That's 3 6th graders and 1 7th grader running. So we're really excited knowing that we're going to have 3 6th graders running on the 7th grade, and we're going to start building up the 8th grade team for next year. Veldy, if she can step out. Veldy was our 100, 200 specialist who took 6th place and 8th place down at state as a 6th grader, and one of the only 6th graders that placed at state. If I could have Gemma step out. Gemma was a finalist in both of those events as well as a 6th grader who also participated on the 4x1. But in long jump, we talked with her about we need you to go out to 16 to give yourself a chance to even compete at the state meet. If anybody went, every record was broken every event this year, and so it was a really tough meet, and Gemma went out and jumped 16 feet to give herself a 4th place at state as a 6th grader. Congratulations. So as we close, I just want to say to the board, superintendent, our AD, thank you. Please we want to keep building this. We have the talent. We have the athletes. One thing I didn't talk about, we have the academics. None of our girls or boys, as we went into this, were ever never had a concern about being ineligible. So that was really important for us going into this, because if you're ineligible on Thursday, the following week is when the ineligibility kicks in. So they're all, not only are they great athletes, but they're also taking care of their academics inside the school. We just want to make sure that everyone knows we can go and run with the best of them. We took 9th overall as a team for the 7th grade girls out of, I don't know how many teams were there, but when we talk about there was only 50 teams, I think, that scored, about 50 teams that scored. We were sitting in the 5th spot all the way up into the 4x4, which we didn't have a team. So when we talk about scoring, we're looking really good for going into next year, and we just need to keep having that support from the administration, and we will keep doing what we can do to make sure the kids are taking care of business inside the classroom.
Congratulations, and thank you so much for coming tonight. Next up is our district student artwork presentation, elementary fine arts presentation.
I'll start with the artwork first. Good evening. My name is Kara Marizi, and I am the Elementary Fine Arts Coordinator. I'm going to start with the artwork presentation first. So we love this night. This is one of our favorite board meetings where we get to present artwork to you from your and our students. So we'll start with King Elementary School and Sarah Tavis.
Good evening. This is Raylan Dorsey. She's a 4th grader at King's School, and she did a beautiful painting. We were learning about how artists develop a sense of space in their paintings. So we were learning about how to create depth in landscape, and we were using tempera paint, and I thought Raylan's picture turned out lovely.
Hello, this is Isabel Tanner Lane. She is a 4th grader at Thomas Paine Elementary School. The artwork we were working on was a mixed media collage of birch trees, kind of in the winter time. So Isabel used watercolor, tempera paint, and magazines to create this artwork.
I just want to say thank you to Sadie Kaiser, our new art teacher at Thomas Paine, who was able to pull this together just about 2 weeks after she started. And now Leo Elementary.
This is an artwork by Willa McDaniel. She is a 4th grader at Leal Elementary. We created some painted paper collages inspired by the artwork of Jacob Lawrence. This is a picture of a safe space. So she created a nice mountainscape there.
I'm not the art teacher. I'm the music teacher, but our art teacher has an appointment and was unable to change the schedule. And then our student also was unable to come in person. So, but this is a watercolor collage created by the 4th grader Jack John from Dr. Williams Elementary.
All right, and I just have a short presentation for you all.
Hey, Kara, before you do
yes.
that, I want the students to know, in case any
Oh,
of them
yes.
sneak out, that we hang your artwork in central office for a year, and we all get to enjoy it. So it gets to kind of grace the hallways where we work, so we get to enjoy your work all year. We make sure your work gets back to you, but we get to enjoy it for the next school year. Is that okay? Yay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure they knew that.
Yes, thank
So,
you.
yes.
Thank you to all of our students. All right, well, just a few words about fine arts. We're very appreciative of your time, so thank you for inviting us this evening. In 1991, our district saw the importance, make sure that I know what I'm doing here, the importance of fine arts instruction in Urbana. This program provided all 4 strands of fine arts: music, dance, drama, and art. Each strand would include the following 3 components: the creative productive, cultural historical, and critical responsive element. This program was extremely innovative and progressive for its time. According to the Department of Education, There are extreme inequities in students' access to the arts and education, indicating that it's not universally available, is too often limited to music and art, and is inconsistent across grade levels. You can see that while 94%, oh, gotcha. I'll let that pause for a second. Let me make sure we didn't have to take cover. I broke the board meeting. Okay. You can see that while 94% of our schools offer music and 83% offer visual arts, only 3% include dance and 4% include theater. So I want to take a moment to thank all of you for understanding that the arts are as important part of education and for making them part of our school district for over 30 years. I know that each of us who teach the fine arts are very grateful. Today, we base our fine arts on 4 strands, and they are on the 12 National Core Arts Standards, which are divided into these categories: creating, performing, presenting, producing, responding, and connecting. Our priority standards are based on these elements, and they're chosen to best highlight the concepts that are taught at each grade level. Standards for arts education are important for 2 fundamental reasons. First, they help define what good education in the arts should provide, a thorough grounding in the basic body of knowledge and skills required to make sense and to make use of each of the art disciplines, including intellectual tools to make qualitative judgments about artistic products and expression. And second, when states and school districts adopt these standards, they're taking a stand for rigor, informed by a clear intent. A set of standards for arts education says in effect that an education in the arts means that students should know what's spelled out here, reach specified levels of attainment, and do both at defined points in their education. But you already know this. So I actually want to talk to you more about why the arts are so important and why we in Urbana continue to value them and make them part of our school day. We know that our entire education system is still reeling from setbacks. And I'm here to make the case that fine arts is not in addition to academic learning, but instead to argue that fine arts is essential to academic learning. And I'll go one step further. It is academic learning. This slide shows the pyramid of learning, which represents the theoretical approaches to human development and is a learning pyramid on which cognitive and executive functions depend on sensory systems located at the basal part of the pyramid. At the base of the pyramid are the sensory systems on which the human cognition system is built. Difficulties at the base in this bottom-up processing flow could affect the cognition of information. All of that to say, if your central nervous system is in fight or flight mode, you're not able to move up through the levels of thinking. This study was originally intended to benefit those with autism, but we all know that a large part of our population struggles with processing due to other factors as well, such as trauma and dysregulation for a multitude of reasons. Fine arts is an incredible tool. Dance, music, drama, and art inherently engage the sensory systems. That means that learning a dance, playing an instrument, or engaging in creating a piece of art not only works at the lowest levels of the pyramid, but it works its way all the way up. Through the sensory motor system as we engage body awareness, through perceptual motor system, and finally to the top, as students are able to intellectually study a work of art, reflect upon it, understand how it's reflected in history and society, and how to synthesize ideas into an artwork. In short, the fine arts engage students in the highest form of learning while also teaching them social skills, regard for others, cooperation, emotional regulation, and the list goes on. I have just a few examples of why arts are essential, and I have all of my sources if you want to read them later. First, dance. Scientists have found that the areas of the brain that control memory and skills such as planning and organizing improve with exercise. Dance has the added dimension of rhythm, balance, music, and a social setting that enhances the benefits of simple movement. It's also been reported that engagement in regular physical activity is essential for healthy growth and development in children. The growth and developmental period in young people is a time when negative social and psychological experiences can affect cognitive, intellectual, and rational development. And in support of this, preventative strategies have increased success rates when the focus of the preventative strategy occurs in the early years and decades of life. Music. How can music develop a young child's brain? It ignites all areas of child development and skills for school readiness, particularly in the areas of language acquisition and reading skills. Learning to play a musical instrument can improve mathematical learning and even increases school scores. Music is an art form that incorporates rhythm, literacy, movement, cognition, language, and social skills. And many of us follow the curriculum of education through music, among others, which is invaluable to children and their development. Drama. Students involved in drama performance coursework or experiences outscored non-art students on the 2005 SAT by an average of 65 points in the verbal component and 35 in the math component. Drama activities improve reading comprehension, verbal and nonverbal communication skills. It helps improve school attendance and reduce high school dropout rates. And 93% of the public believes that arts, including theater, are vital to a well-rounded education. Drama can also improve skills and academic performance in children and youth with learning disabilities. And finally, visual art. Visual art education helps students understand basic skills like reading and writing, which are crucial fundamental skills for daily life. It also helps with better communicating with others, whether it be learning another language, higher quality of speech, and even better body language. Increased self-confidence and self-understanding, enhanced communication skills, and improved cognition are among the many reasons for teaching the arts. Ultimately, the arts are extremely beneficial. Even if they only helped us engage more with each other and society, they would be worth it, but hopefully you can see that they do so much more. But even if you're not convinced, I have one more case to make. If you're a person that says, well, it's just play, or this is the fun class, I would argue that play is very important work. It's a huge part of our curriculum, which I mentioned earlier, but here's another way to put it. I have a video here, and I'll ask you to pause it in just a second.
But we need your help. Our healthy development depends on these top 5 things. 1, connecting. 2, talking. 3, playing. 4, a healthy home. 5, community. All of this helps our brains and us reach our full potential. So what's something you can do that can really make a difference? Scientists call it serve and return. That's just a grown-up way of saying connect, talk, and play with us. And here's the really big news. Amajot, Ari, you ready?
Ready?
Copycat games build imagination and empathy.
And
Naming games build vocabulary and attention.
is it Daddy? Ari, Daddy, Ari.
And games like Peekaboo, yep, Peekaboo, actually build memory and trust. Each time you talk to us, play with us, make us laugh, it not only builds and strengthens our relationships and mental health, it actually teaches us some of the most important life skills. From making friends, to taking a test, to getting a job, to one day maybe even starting a family of our own. Interactions early and often matter. Take it from me, the 7-year-old up here, talking about brain science.
Can you pause for 1 second? So if you I'm sure some of you have seen that TED Talk before, and if you watch the rest, you will see how easily it is to disconnect with each other through screens and other distractions. And I'd love to give a whole nother talk about why we need to ban cell phones at school, but that's another day. You can see from that short example how important it is to play and connect, and the arts have that built in. But let's find out what our kids have to say.
That we get to do free draw, and I really like the the linescapes music. That we get to like stand up in front of the board and do the dances, and she even brings out the microphones.
I like to make music in the computer.
Straight school, and I like music because I got into a musical play. I like art to do free draw, and I like dance and drama because of the dances.
I got into a play, and we also do multiple different projects, and just getting to move my body is nice.
Para la gente, drama, música, arte y baile es importante. Es porque puedes aprender otras cosas y me gusta mucho moverme con los movimientos, pintar y cosas así. Pero la razón que es importante es que puedes aprender, te enseñan nuevas cosas y tienes que escuchar para aprender, o si no, no aprendes. My name is Adalia, and I like to do music because I love listening to songs, and I love playing instruments, and I like drama class too because I like to dance, and I like to listen to the beat, and then it makes me start dancing.
Do you think it's important to have those things at school?
Yes. It will really help you learn how to do it. I would like to be an artist when I grow up.
Hey, my name is Kiese, and the things I like at music is like I really like music. I used to sing a lot, and like music is just really good. That's one of the things I like to do, and I like art. I draw a lot since I was a kid.
I think art's important to me because it can teach you how to learn to do things. Art is super important because it expresses your feelings in life too. So that's why art is more important. Okay? Look at the art projects and stuff like that. It's creating life and colors around the world.
I think art is important, and it's important to me because it's fun and it helps me create.
I think art is important because we get to be creative and make anything we want.
I think we need art because you can be creative and then you can learn some other stuff and then you can learn how to draw or paint.
Art is important to me because after doing a lot of stuff, I can just draw it out with emotions and get out the creativity on my chest.
And like I could express myself. Like for example, I could draw a dog that has wings and is flying on a rainbow.
I think art is important because art is basically in like everything. Like if you're trying to do math and you can't understand the equation, you might have to draw it out, and that is basically art.
I like how we did the flash mob dance and the music, like the instruments.
One thing I liked about dance and drama is that we did a lot of different moves and we learned a lot of different things. And then one thing I liked about music is that we learned a lot of different songs and a lot of different instruments. And one thing I liked about art is that we was getting crafty and we are doing very crafty things.
For art, I like the piece, but some of it is a mess. And for music, I like all the instruments that we could play and we learn new notes. And for drama, I like acting.
Me encanta arte porque podemos hacer muchas cosas creativas, como por ejemplo hacer cosas con cartón, reciclar, y es muy divertido.
I like personally having dance at school because I like learning the new dances.
So with paper you can make books, and you can also put drawings and words. If you don't want to make a book, you can make drawings.
First, my drawings
Didn't really look very well, but thanks to my supportive mother and my supportive family, uh, I got better and better every single day.
You can be creative, you can move more than you get to in your classroom. The dances are really fun, like when you get to use the scarves, you get to be creative and make different shapes with them.
If you do dance, it's like you can learn different dances from different countries or states. And drama is just like if you want to be an actor or something and you want to go pro, this is always helping you do that.
So it's very important to go to all of those classes because you don't know what can be all the way there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I hope that you know that when you're supporting the arts, you're supporting learning, growing, connecting, and academic achievement for our students. If you could please give, if our fine arts teachers could stand and you could give them all a round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. This is always my favorite presentation of the year as well. You guys do marvelous work and make Urbana Urbana. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good job, Kara. Oh, yeah, if you leave those, we'll get them. Yes, thank you.
Next up is our State Seal of Biliteracy presentation and recognition.
Good evening. Buenas tardes. I'm Joe Wiemelt, the Director of Secondary Multilingual Programs and Alternative Education. I'm here tonight to present on the State Seal of Biliteracy awardees of this year, as well as those who were awarded the commendation toward biliteracy. I have a quick presentation that I'll go through first, and then I'll call up any students. I'll call every student's name that has earned the award, and then students who are here, I'll have them come up and be formally recognized in front of the board as well. This presentation, as you can see, has a QR code that families and community members can access at any time. The videos that are linked at the bottom, I put those together at the beginning, the beginning of this semester, or early first semester, as we were starting to invite students to start considering taking the assessments if they needed or if they're interested in qualifying for the State Seal of Biliteracy. And so those video presentations we will use every year. It's just general information about what the seal is, how it works, how it operates, how you qualify, et cetera. Because not all families are going to watch a PowerPoint or go through a PowerPoint, but they might watch a video. And we post these videos on social media as well. So next slide. Can I control this? I can control it with this, right? Thank you. Okay, so we'll start off first. This is a bilingual presentation, although I'll just speak in English, but there'll be moments where I'll hold the slide in Spanish just for folks who are interested in reading in Spanish. So the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy is for Illinois high school graduates who demonstrate a high level proficiency, as you can imagine, in 2 or more languages. And for some students, 3 or more. We have one student this year that qualified in 3 languages. We had a student last year who also qualified in 3 languages. That seal then is designated on the student's high school diploma. We're already sealing those as we speak this week in preparation for Thursday. And then the seal is also placed on their transcripts. So when they submit their transcripts to colleges and universities and other future endeavors, the seal will be listed there as a recognition that they have earned the prestigious seal of biliteracy. The commendation toward biliteracy is the process of reaching, basically in easy terms, like an intermediate level, but on the pathway towards full biliteracy. But this is also formally recognized in the state of Illinois for students who are reaching that level of high-level proficiency in 2 languages and are encouraged to continue developing those 2 languages, or more than 2. So el sello estatal, aquí tengo poco información en español. And the commendation es el reconocimiento de lectoescritura bilingüe. Es parte del proceso en el nivel intermedio. So this is Illinois State code. So this is required for, not required, Illinois school districts can participate in this process. They're not required to. You have to do an application process. You have to follow the rules and regulations of the Seal of Biliteracy. And then all Illinois public colleges and universities are required to accept the Seal of Biliteracy, and I'll get to that in just a moment and what that means. This link here, I won't open it today, but this is a summary report from last school year's process of the Seal of Biliteracy. So you can see how many school districts participated, how many students qualified, et cetera, and how kind of we compare to other school districts across the state. You can also see that 2021 was our first year offering the seal at Urbana High School. That was the COVID remote learning year. So the numbers started off really small, 12 and 5. 12 students earned the seal, 5 students earned the commendation. For about 2 years, those numbers stayed flat. It was about that amount each year. Last year we increased the number, doubled the number, and this year we have almost tripled the number, total number when combining the seal and the commendation. So this is 38. We actually have it listed on this, and I've updated the PowerPoint. If you're looking at the QR code PowerPoint, we have 2 students whose results did come through, and they both earned the seal as well. So we actually now have 40 students who have earned this, either the seal or the commendation, and 2 more that we're still pending results from as we go. There were over 35 juniors this year that participated in one of the assessments. So you can start the process during your junior year and then finalize the process your senior year. So we anticipate that the number will grow and be even larger next year for next year's senior group, which is also great news. El primer año fue el 2021, 17 estudiantes en total. En 2024, este año, casi 40, y estamos viendo que 40 o más están cumpliendo o obteniendo el sello o el reconocimiento. Okay, so next slide is, so how does this process take place? So students have to demonstrate proficiency in 2 languages on different assessments. So when we're talking about a language other than English, there are 2 main assessments that we use in Urbana School District, and most school districts use these 2 assessments, but there are others that are optional that you can use, which you can read more about in the links that were provided earlier. The 2 that we use are the AP exams in the target language, as well as the Stamp 4S. So a student can qualify for the Seal of Biliteracy in the target language, Spanish or French or German or English. Actually, you can take it in both languages. You would have to score a 6 out of 9. 9 is the highest score you can earn. So intermediate high is considered sufficient in the state of Illinois to earn the Seal of Biliteracy. To earn the commendation, you have to score a minimum of a 4, so a 4 or a 5. The AP exam, the equivalent score would be a 4, which is college credit on the AP exam. Or a 3 for the commendation. So you can see the rigor that's required to reach proficiency in a target language is very high, and it's this equivalent to the AP exams. So la misma información en español está aquí. Los exámenes que usamos en los idiomas que los estudiantes tienen que tomar en el grado 11 y o 12. Okay? So this is just a graphic demonstrating superior would be that level 9 that I spoke about. So that would be considered like they scored perfect on the assessment. To reach the Seal of Biliteracy, you have to score that 6 or higher. So intermediate, high, and up. And that was determined by the state of Illinois, not by Urbana School District or Dr. Wiemelt. Okay. Next slide. So what are the English assessments that qualify? There are more that we can choose from and consider when we're looking at the English side of the seal. The most common are the access for ELLs. So if an ELL, an English language learner, reaches proficiency in high school on the access, that counts for their English score. Or the SAT reading portion in English, if they score a 480 or higher, that counts towards the Seal of Biliteracy. And you have to get a 480 for the commendation as well. So that's the minimum score you have to obtain on the SAT. If a student is enrolled in dual credit English, which we do offer between Parkland and Urbana High School, and they get a B or higher on a 4.0 scale, then that also qualifies. The AP exam and the Stamp exam, just like the other languages, can be used as well. So this year's group of students, it's a combination of different assessments. The majority of students use their SAT and the Stamp, but some students use the access for ELL, some students use the AP exam. So it's a mixture. So we review all of this data and make determinations this time of year to submit for those who have earned the seal and those who have earned the commendation. So just a couple common questions. May the seal be awarded to any student, regardless of whether they're taking a foreign language or they're part of a dual language program? And the answer is yes. You don't have to be enrolled in any particular program or course, although a large percentage of students that earned the seal were either in dual language or foreign language instruction at the high school and or throughout the school district in their elementary and middle school years, which I can get into that if there are questions about those numbers. This is just those answers in Spanish for the English side, and the same question about who can qualify. So clearly I think everyone knows the benefits of learning two languages, becoming proficient, the ability to, the studying of other languages, the increasing the employment and college opportunities, academic opportunities in a student's life, the benefits to our community locally, the more multilingual students that we're graduating, the stronger that makes our community, as well as our broader country, state, country, and world. The more multilingual people that we have, the better things are for a variety of reasons. Economically, but also socially, culturally, linguistically, there are tons of benefits. Maybe the most tangible benefit from this is the college credit that's earned for students who earn the seal. That link where it says college credit, if you open that up on your own, you can see what is required for public universities and colleges in Illinois to grant to students. So, for example, at the University of Illinois, they grant 8 college credits automatically. When you start, you have 8 credits in that target language, which is the pathway towards a minor or a major in that language. It also helps for bilingual teachers. If you're going to become a bilingual teacher, you can use those courses towards that Spanish or French or whatever the language that you're getting it in can go towards that. So the number varies. There's some universities that offer more. Like I think there's 1 or 2 that offer a full minor. So upon starting your college experience, you already have a minor, and it's free, right? You've earned that through these assessments. So that's a huge benefit that's very tangible and exciting that didn't exist about 6 years ago across our country. California was the first state to start the Seal of Biliteracy. Illinois joined quickly after that, and we've been participating, as I shared, for about 4 years. Los beneficios, hablando de los créditos universitarios que los estudiantes pueden ganar cuando entran a la universidad o los colegios automáticamente por recibir el sello. Es algo muchos beneficios en ese punto. So, how do I enroll? So for future students and families who are watching or interested in the future, there's a process. A student has to fill out a registration form. We set up exam dates. We review assessment scores. If they take the stamp assessment with us at Urbana High School, it takes anywhere from 2 to 5 hours. Some students take longer, some students take shorter, but it just varies from student to student. But we do that in March, April, early May this year. We had to extend it, which is why some of our results are still pending. This is the same in Spanish. We usually take those assessments March, April, early May. And finally, now we can acknowledge and recognize our students. I'm going to read every student's name. If you're here, I'd like you to just come forward so we can see you and the board can give you a round of applause. So we'll start off, this is the Seal of Biliteracy. So these are the students that have earned college credit. The seal's going on their transcripts. This is the highest level of proficiency. Go ahead, Dr. Everton.
Joe, when you call the students up, can they stay up so we
Sure.
can take a group photo?
Sure.
Okay.
So everyone stay if you're here. There's a few students here. So these are all seniors. So if a junior qualifies, we acknowledge and recognize them their senior year, both at Honors Night and at the Board of Education, and we put everything by the time they graduate, because it's for Illinois graduates, high school graduates, but we start the testing assessment process their junior year. So first off is Norseen Ismail, in Arabic. She earned the Seal of Biliteracy. I don't know if I haven't seen Norseen here. We'll do a big round of applause at the end. How about that? Henry Burris in German, Yuel Lee in German, Abigail Fairbanks in German, Avalon Ogalski in Spanish, Pace Dominguez Hultgren in Spanish, Max Kwan Allred in Spanish, Hadasha de Leon Hernandez, Spanish, the rest are Spanish, Eduardo Diego Andres, Rosaline Cox Garcia, Joshua Cruz Hernandez, I think I saw, there we go, Anna Ginsberg Sullivan, Quale Johnson, Jesse Wald, Jessica Diaz, Alexa Maldonado, Gabriela Bautista, Cassandra Alvarado, Mia Fragoso, Gabriel, and in German, Gabriel Srejic, and back to Spanish, America Rebolledo, sorry that got out of order, Ashley Ramos Rivera, I think I saw, and Nicholas Lemon, And I'd also like to highlight that on the next slide, you'll see Steven Marcos Diaz listed for the commendation. He earned the commendation his junior year. We just got his test results back literally on Monday, and he actually earned the seal for testing this year. So Steven, come on up for the seal as well. So round of applause for these students. This is a busy time of year for students, so you all can, well, let's have them stay, because then we'll have the commendation students here, for any students who are here. For commendation, you'll see Norsine Ismail's listed again, so she received the seal in Arabic and the commendation in French, so she is a multilingual student. So Norsine, I don't believe is here. Lorelai Yao, America Gomez, Leslie Hernandez Rivera, Fia Marino, Alicia Garcia, Clara Hazen, Steven Marcos Diaz had the commendation, now he has the seal. Isauro Senil, I believe is here. Isauro, you can come up on this side. Eliel Abril Garcia, Sebastian Orrala, Beatriz Ebel, Alexander Maslov, Samuel Drasgo, and Hudson Cody. So give it up for Isauro. Should I stand? Is it weird that I'm sitting? Should I stand? Okay. All right. I felt a little weird. All right, coming together. I have to take a moment and acknowledge these are all dual language students that started in kindergarten in our district. And they are fully bilingual. Except Ashley, she started in middle school. Okay, you guys can be seated. Thank you. There are many more students, of course, that weren't able to be here tonight, and several students that still are pending results. And we should anticipate an even larger number next year with the number of juniors that participated and have already scored high enough, at least in one of the target languages. We're still waiting on their English scores to come back on the SAT. So I'll take a moment and pause for any questions about the Seal by Literacy process.
Board members, any questions?
Sure.
How is that program offered to the students?
It's free. It's
I mean, as far as how would they know to?
Oh, I see. So every year we put an announcement in the high school announcement starting in early semester, second semester. We don't actually do the assessment process till late March, April. We also go to all of the foreign language classrooms of juniors and seniors and do this presentation basically, as well as the dual language classrooms. So this year I went to the junior level, which is called Spanish Language Arts 3, dual language class, and presented to that group. And every student, it was a requirement for that class for every student to take the assessments. And so those are juniors this year, and about 90% of them have already met the requirement in Spanish, so we're just waiting on their English scores. But we go to all the foreign language classes, we put the announcements in the daily announcements, and we have an informational night, which this same presentation is used, and parents and students can sign up that night for the testing. And they just sign up, and then that is like flags us to look at their English SAT scores, look at any previous AP scores that they've already taken, and then sign them up for the stamp assessment, which counts as well. You're welcome.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Yeah, so how many times a student can take the test?
We do not have a limit. So there were a couple students that took the test more than once, either from their junior year to their senior year or twice in their senior year. As of right now, we want to try to get as many students to earn the seal as possible because of the benefits that it comes with for them. So at this point, we are still allowing students to retake it. Yep.
Anyone else?
How many languages is it offered in?
So it can be in any language. The Stamp 4S is only offered in, I think it's 18 different languages. There are a few, interestingly enough, to go with your question, students that the assessment is not provided in that language, very low incidence languages from the Middle East in particular. And so when those situations arise, the state will allow you to do a portfolio-based assessment, and then they will work with school districts to find someone designated as someone official who can review their portfolio assessment of the 4 language domains and then grant the seal if they qualify. So any language can be done. The majority of them are provided in the STAMP or the AP exams, but the ones that don't have that portfolio option.
Okay, because I know a lot of students wanted to do Kanghobal. So are they able to do that?
We would do that process of the portfolio.
Okay.
The tricky part with that is the state finding someone on the written side of it, because it's very uncommon for the written portion. But that is something that we would explore with the state.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. It also is coming up with Pashto and Farsi are two languages that aren't provided by the Stamp 4S and the AP exams, but we can do the portfolio-based assessment.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone else?
I think they listed 36 languages.
Was it 36?
Yeah,
Thank you. I knew there was a
36 that you
6
couldn't-
at the end.
Yeah, how many do we offer in our school district? How many different languages?
Formal and like that we offer
Right.
with teaching.
Yes.
Spanish, French, English, of course. German are the foreign languages taught in middle school, high school. At King, we support students in Arabic, as well as and other languages in the past. I'm not sure what it is this year, but Lao has been one. Mandarin, of course, is taught, yes, at the elementary level. It's not a formal class taught at the secondary level right now. They can still participate, yes. Yeah. Pashto is supported at the elementary level, yeah. Vietnamese has been supported in the past, several languages historically.
What school teaches Mandarin exactly?
King.
King, okay.
As a part of the bilingual program at King.
All right. Any other questions? All right, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your presentation. Congratulations for all the hard work. You're really representing Urbana well. Next up is our peer tutoring program recognition. Eve Foley. You got to press it hard once and then wait. Yeah, that's it.
Hello? Hello?
Good evening, board members. My name is Angie Armstrong. I'm the District Mentoring and Community Involvement Coordinator for Urbana, and this is Eve Foley, a senior at Urbana High School. Tonight, I would like to share the implementation of the peer tutor program with you, and then allow Ms. Foley to elaborate. Eve emailed me and asked if she could come over to chat with me regarding a program of some sort that she would like to create for high school and middle school students. She explained to me that her experience at UMS was not the best, and she would like to make a difference for any middle schooler who might be feeling the same way. We discussed options on how this would look and came up with basic tutoring along with some social emotional support. She rallied up some high school honor students and friends. I created parent permission slips, and we both started seeking classroom teachers to accept tutor volunteers once a week during 8th period on Wednesdays. We agreed that both principals must be on board, which they were, and that all the high school students participating should have a grade card signed by their teachers indicating they were getting a B or higher in order to come over and tutor. After I received the signed parent permission slips and giving each student a middle school orientation, they were set to begin on February 28th. We wrapped up the semester on May 15th with a small reception and with 12 high schoolers in their participating classrooms. And now I'll let Eve explain some more.
Okay, yeah, so I've been working on this program since I was a sophomore in high school, so 2 years ago, and it's taken quite a bit of time to kind of get it going, but it has definitely been worth it, and working with Angie was really great. I also worked with Miss Kirkland and her intern this year, so we've had a lot of people, like different people involved with this program, and we actually have more tutors who have applied that haven't been able to do it, so it's actually quite big, and we also have a waiting list. Okay, so Angie kind of went over some of the requirements, but I make every student apply and talk to me, and before they even talk to me, they have to fill out a form saying that they've never failed a class, they have at least a B grade in the class that they're thinking about missing in their 8th hour, that they will agree to the confidentiality, so they're not talking about who they're tutoring, they're not taking photos with their students, they're not contacting them outside of school inappropriately or anything, and then also that the students have strong communication skills and do well in their classes, so that they're setting a strong role model, they're kind of stepping into that position when they become a tutor, and they're giving a good image of the high school. Okay, so this is a list of some of the tutors that we've had this year. So Ashley, she's not here anymore, but she was actually just honored. So we have Ashley, Amelia, Brianne, Cassie, Declan, Joseph, Quale, Max, Mia, Natalie, Sam, Satya. I've also gone into classrooms, and we do have a waiting list for next year as people have been reaching out throughout the entire semester. And at one point I was like, I can't add you anymore, but it's definitely going to grow a lot. And it already has grown like an immense amount throughout the course of the semester. Okay, so at the end of the semester, we had a ceremony, and it was kind of a time for all of the tutors and their students to talk to each other and eat together and just kind of say their goodbyes. And then at that ceremony, we were having people, like if they hadn't already, fill out their feedback form. And we had both teachers and students fill out this form, where it was basically just collecting data and information. And through all of that, the main points are that literally every single tutor reported that they had a positive experience. No one said that they had any negative experiences or anything like that. They all reported that they made a connection with their students and that their teachers seemed to be appreciating them coming into the classrooms, and that they were able to form relationships and bonds. And then everyone who is not graduating said they wanted to be a part of the program again next year and would recommend it. That's also Amelia and Mia were shown on the last slide.
Yeah.
And then for the teachers, we went into 7 different classrooms, including a dual language class, and we worked individually with 2 students, but then one of them didn't work out, so we had one main student that we were working with. And so then all of the teachers who responded were giving it the highest remarks. They were all super thankful and grateful, and they all gave their tutors little thank you cards, having the class write cute notes and stuff. And so then here are some quotes. My students loved having a high school student help them. This is a wonderful program that I would have loved as a high schooler. Keep this going. And I am very gracious for and happy about them, the peer tutoring tutors, joining the group this year. I would talk to the tutors every time that they came back on Wednesdays as they were like checking out, because you have to check in and out of the building and report all your hours. And everyone seemed to be saying that they had really great connections with their teachers and that some of them already knew their teachers. And it was a really good connection, because I know when I was in middle school, I didn't hear or see anyone from the high school until like the last quarter of 8th grade when I was filling out my form for my high school stuff. And so yeah, I think it's good because they made good connections. And I just wanted to thank everyone that was involved and all the administration that helped approve it. And so I did create this program, but it's going to continue on after me because it is now a district program, and Mia Schroeder will be taking over it next year. So yeah, hopefully this will be cemented for many more years to come. So thank you, everyone.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, board members, any questions? I have a quick one. Okay. What could we as a board do to assist you in this endeavor? What could, you know, if you could ask us for help on this, what would you ask?
I wish more teachers, like all of the teachers, we send out emails to everyone in the middle school being like, do you want a tutor or whatnot? And a lot of teachers will either miss that or they won't like know that much about it until we go individually. And I was going individually to the classes in the middle school talking to teachers. So I think having better promotion about it and more information about it, which I can't work on because I'm leaving, but I think just having the support of the board to try to recruit more people, and then also helping recruit high schoolers. That's the main thing, but that's mostly on us.
Yeah.
But
and
also,
both principals are behind us 100%, so I feel like that is huge. And we just began this year, so I think now that there are more teachers that know about it and experienced it and appreciated it and enjoyed it, they'll talk to the other teachers and spread the word.
Yeah, so thank you, everyone. And if there are any needs, look out for Mia. She's going to do great. But
she will do great.
I want to give Eve a shout out before she leaves. So not only was this kind of her brainchild, she really took the initiative to reach out and say that she wanted to come to the board and I want to present and how much time can I have? And so she's just such a go-getter. So we thank you for just your initiative and your modeling for our young people. So thank you, Eve. You're welcome.
Great job. there are no communications tonight, so it is now time for our student ambassador report and recognition.
Hi, this is a student ambassadors report. This is a quick note to any parents and students, like, and guardians watching, whether it's like on Zoom or here, or not the Zoom, the YouTube live stream. The bathrooms at UHS and UMS have a bunch of like really cruel and mean writing all over the bathroom stalls and the doors. Like every time you go in there, there's someone calling you like a slur or a cuss word or something terrible, or making fun of the way you look or something like that. And I know this is at least a huge issue in the women's bathroom. I'm not sure about like the men's bathroom or the gender neutral one. If you're a parent or guardian, please educate your child on like the meaning behind these words, because a lot of times it might be just that they're not really educated on the words, and just like really trying to educate your children about these words. And then for students, I urge you to please try to refrain from writing this stuff, because a lot of students are going through a lot of different things in high school, a lot of different traumas, and I assume you don't want to hurt them in these delicate places. And for parents and guardians that are thinking like, oh my goodness, my kid would never do this, unfortunately, not to sound harsh, but it is your kids who are doing the writing in the restrooms. The water fountains at UHS. We are very grateful that in the past, Randy Ashman went to ensure all the water fountains at UHS were working. A lot of them are working, so thank you so much. But somewhat recently, we were, like, where am I? Oh, one of the ones near door 3, like right next to door 3, it has like the water bottle filler, and it's near this. It's in the social studies hallway. A lot of people, like teachers, students, they have been informing me that the water bottle hasn't working, and the funny part is that they know the exact number that like the water bottle filler upper has stopped at, and like it's really it's crazy. And then the entire water fountain in the forward language hallway, right across from the French room, it doesn't work at all, and it hasn't worked for about a year or two. I assume you're probably aware of this, but in case you weren't, I just wanted to let you know. And that's all. And then, can you click on the video that's in the slide? Will it let you? Yes. Ooh. All right. This part's fun. Yeah. None of the syncs really work. Are you sure? That video was taken last week. You went this morning to the 3rd floor bathroom by the math hallway. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, because those those weren't working for a very long time. Okay. Yankee Ridge Fitness and Fun Day. Yankee Ridge Fitness and Fun Day was a hit. And a lot of people from the UHS went to volunteer there and just like help the kids, like have a great time and everything like that. Thank you to the volunteers who helped make this happen, and thank you to Yankee Ridge School for this great outlet for the kids. I'm giving them this great opportunity to have fun with their friends and celebrate and learn more about fitness. This is great for kids' well-being, physical and mental health. More events and activities like this for elementary kids would severely help students stay healthy and happy, and just like be so good for their mental health, because physical health is shown to improve mental health. And that tends to be a problem, a lot bigger of a problem when you get older, especially into high school or middle school, especially after COVID. Yay. Senior graduation last day. The Urbana High School seniors had their last day on Friday, May 17th. It's really sad, but also it must be really freeing for the seniors to finally be free. And happy for their families, because they get to celebrate that their child has graduated and is moving on to bigger things. And I wish every senior a wonderful future full of success and happiness. Congratulations to making it through middle school, high school, and elementary school. Save the date. Senior graduation is May 23rd at 6 p.m. this Thursday. Summer school registration. The ability to register for summer school is now available. Below is the link to the summer school booklet. In case any of you guys would like to know the courses being offered this summer, this presentation is in the boardroom email, the one you guys have access to, not the Zoom one. And then these courses are for students who either failed the course, need more credits, need to take a required course, get ahead, accelerate. And they can register by picking up a form in the counselor's office or using the link below. Okay, I'm not going to say this whole thing 'cause it's really long. But, oh my goodness, that's loud. Okay. I am very grateful for my opportunity to be student ambassador. Thank you deeply to the school board and the superintendent for letting me have the role, this role that I have right now. It has been one of my greatest honors, and I am forever grateful that I was allowed to have this amazing opportunity. It has been so interesting and beneficial to hear all the different viewpoints and learn so much about our schools. I deeply enjoyed working alongside the students to gain information for the school board and different perspectives from teachers and students and community members, and to report it back to the BOA. I adore advocating for the people of this community and our students because their voices, points, and opinions are vital to making a better and amazing USD 116. I really enjoyed learning so much by making these presentations and actually having to reach out to the students and engaging in discussions with questions and things like that. And just learning about different minority groups in Urbana and how to help them. I'd say that very much shaped who I am today. I look forward to the 2 new student ambassadors who got elected and seeing what they do for the community, because they had amazing interviews and they're just incredible people. Oh my goodness. I adored the candidates so much, and I think they will have great representation and advocacy for the district. So the district will be in good hands after me and Dominica leave. I mean, obviously it will be because all of you guys are here, but thank you so much for listening to all of our reports and all of my questions and thoughts. Goodbye, and have a great rest of your time on the board or in central office or superintendent. Yay.
Yay. Dominica, I don't know if you want to say anything?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Dominica. I'm a senior at UHS, and my time on the board has been a really influential time for me. I feel like I learned a lot of patience and a lot of people skills, and I learned to be a great listener. I feel like I've got really better at learning the 2 sides of the story. I was talking to my friend the other day, and I was just like, I feel like I have 2 brains. She was like, she's like, when you're always talking, I just feel like there's always 2. So I feel like that really just helped me with this journey. I know this will help me on my journey to university next year, being involved with student government. So I really just want to be on the committees, and this will really help me. Thank you for letting me be here, and I just want to wish everyone a happy life. And just thank you for letting me be on here. I really appreciated it, and yeah, it made me learn a lot.
Going to school yet?
I'm going to Eastern.
I thought so, yeah. I just wanted you to say it. Yay.
So thank you so much.
That's awesome.
All right.
I just want to thank you both for setting a very, very high bar for future student ambassadors to follow. You guys put incredible amount of work into all these presentations. You researched the subjects before coming to the meeting, as well as board members do. You asked great questions. You did really fantastic job, so thank you guys.
And congratulations on your graduation and all those scholarships that you won and honors the other night. Yeah, thank you.
We do want to also announce our new, yes. Paulina and Dominica have been fantastic. I know it's hard when you have a senior, and Dominica's been involved in lots of activities this year. So that's why we have 2. So we always make sure that we have at least one of them here. So that has been fantastic. So thank you both. John, Awesome. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about our two new ambassadors. We told them they did not have to be here today. They're going to be joining us next year. So we have a rising senior, Citlali Cortez Alvarez on the left, Citlali with an I. And then we have a rising junior, Valentina Gonzalez Huerama. Oh, yay. And so they are both going to be joining us. I do want to thank Sherry and Tori and Paulina for being part of the interview team. And Mr. Guzman was part of the screening team from the high school. We have a large group of high school staff members. We have a rubric. It is a really involved process. They complete an application. We screen them, we score them, and then we choose the top scorers to come for an in-person interview. We ask them a lot of questions, and next year the student ambassadors are going to be meeting regularly with Mr. Guzman. I think a lot of the things that we've talked about this year are things that could be addressed directly at the high school. So Mr. Guzman is going to be really involved in that process moving forward. And I just want to thank Citlali and Valentina, and as well as all of the other ambassadors who applied. So congratulations to these young ladies who are joining us, and thank you again to Paulina and Dominica. So yay. Okay. I've got a dry mouth. Sorry, I had to take a drink. All right, so I am going to go ahead and invite our folks who are participating in the next presentation forward. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. Oh, yeah, I'm going to start, and then we're going to take a picture. Yep. I'm sorry, I just jumped right in.
No, our next item is administrative report, UMS planning team, the 6th grade center update. So members of the middle school, please come forward.
And Lori, we might need to grab maybe one more mic, because there's about 5 or 6 of them. I'm looking for my presentation. Oh, that's why they're on the floor. I know, I'm like, where are they? Okay, here we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the, John, okay, so you all have your mics on back there, and then you can just kind of share, because they're all going to kind of present specific slides, but then jump in as needed. So I want to thank Priscilla Kraut, not 7th grade, 8th grade now, right? 8th grade teacher, Rusty Clevenger, our art teacher, one of our elective leaders at UMS, Dr. Wiemelt, who we know, Julia Lowry, 6th grade administrator, and Mr. Cooper, UMS principal, for joining us. They are representing the group. If we go to the next slide, we had a, one of you guys have the clicker, sorry.
Oh.
I'll click.
Thank you. So this is the representative team. So this team includes members from special education, core team teachers, band, strings, music department, the multilingual department, PE, AVID, support staff. We have a social worker there, and then one of our instructional coaches. On the right, you can see all of the administrators. Randy and I represented central office, and back behind Julia is Scott Wachter from IGW. Several other members from Scott's team spent time with us throughout the year. So I want to thank all the people who couldn't be here tonight. It is a busy time of the year. So a lot of the folks on this slide either had T-ball or other commitments, or somebody's daughter's getting married this weekend. There was a lot going on. So they all really wanted to be here, but we were thankful that we did have some other members from the team who are kind of representing the thoughts and the work of the committee. So we started meeting as a group basically as soon as the board approved the 6th grade center plan, and we put together a really quick team. We reached out to department chairs, leaders from the 6th grade, as well as the school in general, and asked for volunteers. We had other folks who were kind of part of the email group, but couldn't come to a lot of the meetings because this was an after-school commitment. So people who weren't able to stay after school for meetings, couldn't attend as regularly. So there was a lot of conversation that happened outside of the planning team as well. As members of this group who are department chairs would go back and kind of talk to their colleagues and then bring back input to the group. So while it looks like it is a small group, it really was a coordinated effort across the building because we had opportunities where there was discussion away from the group, and then we met every month. So I'm going to do the first couple slides, and then we're going to turn it over to the group, and they're going to take over. So I did want to just let the board, you'll see this again June 25th. Remember, we're having that special meeting for those of you who can attend. And this is the current layout. I'm not going to go heavily into it because we've looked at it once or twice before, and you'll see it again in just a couple weeks. But this is the current layout. I just wanted to include it in the slides because as they start talking about teaming, the transition time, right, you heard earlier that we've eliminated that longer transition, so we have less opportunities for students to be off team and walking around the building. If you've been in Wiley before, the purple is kind of the existing building, which is where Wiley was a 2-strand school, so 2 kindergarten, 2 first, 2 second, 2 third. So the classroom spaces that are currently existing is where the on-team classes will take place. So as they start talking about the teaming structure, I just wanted you to kind of have that visual. The other part of the building, which is kind of like a bluish teal color, is the addition. So this is the space where the office suite will be there on the left, and then all the elective classes that we're going to talk about, the classes that happen off team are going to happen in that greenish, tealish area. So I just wanted you to have kind of a visual. I'm a very visual learner, so I just wanted you to have that visual as they're talking about how the teaming structure is going to work, how the elective structure is going to work, and how we're really excited about the space and how we've been able to align the teams so there's just going to be less opportunity to move around without supervision. I'll just say that. Okay. The last slide that I'm going to share is I did just want to give the board a little bit and anyone who's listening on the public, just always a little snapshot of UMS and where we are and the demographic of the school. So right now, this is May 2024 data. So we have 899 students currently. It's the end of the year, so some students have left. That number has ranged throughout the year. There were times when they were closer to 940, times when they were closer to 920. But right now we're about 900, which is pretty average, I'd say, for us to have 3 grade levels of about 300 students. So that's pretty typical. I really did just want to key in a little bit on kind of how the demographics are changing at UMS. I also want to share that we presented pretty much this exact same presentation to staff last Wednesday. Katie and I had not had a chance to update the budget information that she'll share today, but basically the nuances of the work were shared with the UMS staff in an after-school staff meeting, and we highlighted a little bit of the changes around the demographic too. So currently right now, I just wanted to highlight that the white student population at UMS unfortunately has decreased over the last few years. We're unfortunately losing more of our white students than some of our other groups. So in 2018, our white student population at UMS was 35%. That was pre-pandemic. After the pandemic, it dropped to about 30 in 2020 and then 29% in 2021. And right now we're at 23%. So one of the things that we are hoping is that the development of the 6th grade center will add and bring back some of those families that have decided to do other things at the middle level. One thing that I found as I work with high school students as well, even through the student ambassador process, some of the student ambassadors that we interviewed, we find that students are with us at elementary, and then they're making other choices for middle school, and then they're coming back to us for UHS. So I know the number of students who have applied to uni as sixth graders going into seventh grade, that number continues to increase, and we want those students to be back in Urbana School District for middle school. Our black population is kind of staying around that number, so it has ranged in 2018 around 37%. The highest it's been in 2022 was 42%, and that 39% is about where we have landed all year, around 39-40. Our Latino Hispanic population is growing. So several years ago, we pretty much were at 17% every year. So 2019, 2020, 2021, and last year in 2023, we increased to 22%, and this year you can see the increase to 25.6, so basically 26%. So that is encouraging. I hope that number continues to grow as we have developed the multilingual school at elementary, because this is a space that we are really trying to develop more with our multilingual department, the opportunities for our Latino families. So I did link in here the previous presentation. So this presentation has more information around what the team has developed around teaming, scheduling, and all of that. If the board remembers, before we approved the sixth grade center, there was a facilities committee presentation that was also shared. So for newer board members who want to go back and look at that again, it is linked here, and anyone from the public who wants to look back at some of that other data that was shared. We talked about things like SEL, discipline, culture, climate. More academic data was shared in that presentation. Tonight, we're not focusing on those things. We really wanted to focus more so on some of the questions that have been arising throughout the year around servicing our special needs students, and what's dual language going to look like, and how are we going to address some of those core learning areas, and how many electives are going to be offered. So tonight our focus is really on that, but if people want to go back and look at some of that other information that was shared previously in August, that presentation is there for you. Okay? All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Cooper, and then our presenters, you guys just jump in and add on anything. All right.
All right, so as Dr. Ivy Tatum talked through when she had the presentation there with the architectural layout, one of the huge benefits of the three-team model is that transition, so that we see as we're creating that, like the master schedule and kind of looking at the different nuances of the sixth grade center, that we'll be able to do shorter transitions between classes, both on team and off team. But yeah, that's one of the a huge benefit. In addition, we talked about how like special education is going to be across all three teams. The added benefit of that is that you're able to have that human capital be spread amongst all of the teachers there. Yeah, that collaboration is improved, and students are receiving like better resources and more direct collaboration with that. Another benefit, as we unroll the plans, is that the Spanish dual language will be across two teams. The French dual language will be across one team, and we're also looking forward to seeing those two programs continue to grow. The sixth grade center will have its own sixth grade administrator. Under that administrator, there will be an assistant principal, one student interventionist, and 3 student relation supervisors.
Me? Oh, sorry. I couldn't remember which one I started. I'm sorry. So some things to keep in mind within this 3-team structure is that we are going to maintain the model of having the 4 core teachers on each team. So there would be a science, social studies, language arts, and math teacher on each team. That's currently what we have at the middle school. That allows us to have our teachers continue to specialize in their areas, not have to teach multiple content areas. And so those will be our core teachers. We'll have around 4 special education teachers. We say around not because there's an intent to remove any special education services, but because just like we currently do, we look every single year to see how many of our students with IEPs are currently at each grade level, how many students with IEPs are on each team, and we delineate services that way. This is one of the things I know I'm sure we'll get a question about later, but there is the fact that we talked about with some certain special programming that we may have to make a hard decision about deciding if the 6th grade center is the correct placement for a student. Our intent would be that all students could attend the 6th grade center with their grade level peers, God bless you. But we know that the reality may be that if there's a student with very specific needs and there aren't enough students that have similar needs to support having a case manager that would fit those students at the 6th grade center, then we would have them attend the 7th and 8th grade building instead. When we spoke with the special education staff about that, we discussed the idea that, again, just like we talked about special education staff being different every year. Some years there may be enough of a caseload at the 6th grade level. Like this year, a lot of our students in our special programming are 6th graders. There's no reason we wouldn't have a case manager at the 6th grade center that year for that demographic. So that's something we would look at each year. We would continue to have a school counselor, a school social worker, and at each grade level, so that would include having one of those each at the middle school. We would have the social work intern, hopefully, that's our intent. We are going to have 2 SEAs at the middle school next year, so that means that allows us to have one of those SEAs at the 6th grade center full-time to focus on our attendance needs. We'll have a full-time librarian. The intent is to have 1 or 2 of the new co-teaching positions. It just kind of depends on, again, what our staffing looks like at that time, but definitely at least 1. 1 full-time intensive intervention teacher who would likely be doing math and language arts, as opposed to right now it's 1 full-time math, 1 full-time reading. And then our multilingual program coordinator would be shared across the 2 buildings.
I think this one's you, Rusty.
Yep. So for 6th grade center exploratory, meaning non-team, is 4 full-time exploratory elective teachers. The minutes for those periods are 39 minutes, which is 7 minutes less than what it is currently for 6th graders, so not a drastic change. And a different concept is that dance, drama, media, art, and general music as of now are the 4 that are placed in those positions. And the idea is to kind of bridge what happens in elementary to middle and then middle to high eventually. So in elementary, each student gets 6 weeks of dance, 6 weeks of drama, 12 weeks of art, 12 weeks of music. So the concept here is that all the 6th graders would rotate through these 4 electives in 1 school year, unless they need additional services that would kind of pull an elective course out, or if they're in a more specific music class, which we'll list on the next slide. Elective courses will be taken within their team groups. So this is actually a really cool concept, at least I think so. So what currently is happening is we have 3-ish periods where 6th graders leave their spaces that they're at, and then they go into the whole building. And then every period we take 300 kids and we just throw them in another mixture. So then, you're in this class and then you all get mixed up. Now you're in this class and you all get mixed up. So in this concept, it would be 100 students at a time taking electives. And then that group is still the same group that's on a particular team. So they're not getting mixed with all 300.
Can I add
Yeah,
in?
please.
Just coming from an administrator's perspective, that is huge for us. Right now, it's very challenging when we know like these 2 students have conflict, or this group is very. This group is huge, and then this group is really small. But when we're moving all the different parts at the middle school right now, there often isn't much we can do. Within our team structures, you see that our teachers spend a lot of time being like, you know, Derek and Joe really should have class together because they're a good influence on each other, but Priscilla and Rusty, they shouldn't probably have any of their courses together. And we don't, right, I know. But we don't have that flexibility currently, so having that structure in place, just from an administrator's perspective, it would be very beneficial.
And it takes it from elementary, where that's a common idea, is that you rotate through these elective classes, and you're gradually leading it into middle school. And then in the same context, in elementary, you're with 24 to 30 in the elective, but now you're like mixed up within 100. So it gives a variety of both worlds. Big change.
Rusty, before you go to PE,
Yeah.
can I add? So board members may not realize this, but we're adding dance and drama next year to the middle school right in 24-25. It's something we've talked about for a very long time. You guys saw the fine arts presentation that Kara did, and when she really talked about the number of schools and districts across the state that are able to offer dance and theater. We're very unique in that way. It's something we've wanted to extend to the middle school for a very long time and have not had a teacher or the space or just the opportunity. So now we have that opportunity to kind of bridge it next year for 24-25, and then as Rusty's explaining, really offer a very core dance and drama like fine arts class that would really mirror what the elementary students are used to for the 6th grade center. Going to do it. It's not going to look the same as it will with the structure that we're planning for the 6th grade center. It'll be basically what they're talking about right now. So yeah.
Yeah, so the planning for the 7th, 8th grade building, I would assume will go on in the fall. But as of next year, 6th, 7th, and 8th will all have opportunities in dance and drama. So the exploratory elective classes are semester-long classes and will allow staff to build relationships with the students, also with teams. The concept there is sometimes when we move towards everybody travels, that becomes, you know, you don't get immersed in the building, you don't get immersed in the culture. Kids don't know if you're there or not there. So having 4 people kind of stationed at the 6th grade center will help kind of build those relationships with students. 2 full-time physical education teachers and 1 traveling PE teacher, 39-minute class period, 7 minutes less than currently, still a good amount. It's a year-long class because PE is required for the year. Physical education will be using the gym spaces. The gym will be split in half, so it allows 2 separate spaces. If you've ever there's a lot of kids in UMS gym when PE is going on, so this is also another area where it might limit some things if we have those 2 spaces and divided. And I still believe the stage will be divided 2 at times for health classes. And then there's multi-purpose rooms. That's where the cafeteria will be, and other multi-purpose uses will also have PE classes as an option. Health will continue and be taught by PE staff. For music, for the 6th grade center, music department will have 39-minute class periods, and then traveling's to be determined because Urbana really invests in the music program from elementary all the way to high school, but the schedules are a little complex. So it would be unfair to have them come up with a schedule at this time for this. So the music teachers are collaborating to kind of figure out who will be traveling, because you have elementary traveling music teachers who teach band and strings. You have middle school who are just stationed at the middle school. You have middle school traveling teachers, and then you have high school and high school traveling music teachers. So, but these are confirmed for the classes that would be offered. So it's the same thing that's currently offered. Beginning band, beginning strings, continuing band, continuing strings, choir, and percussion. And I don't know if you want me to mention, but the before school, so there's art club, there's concert band, concert strings, concert choir. Those will still also be offered as well.
Okay, well, it's coming back to me. We've touched on a lot of these benefits of the 3-team model, but I just want to start by saying this was one of our biggest discussion points throughout this process was, do we have 2 teams? Do we have 3 teams? Do we have 4 teams? And there were benefits and drawbacks to each of them. But in the end, we actually voted, and we had a unanimous vote that we would go with a 3-team model. And that was for a variety of reasons. Some of them are that it is similar and familiar to what we're currently doing. Right now, we have 3 grade levels that we are accommodating. Now we will have 3 teams that we're accommodating. We felt like it would be easier to build community as opposed to a 2-team model, because that would keep our student numbers closer to 100, which is about what we're at right now. It also makes it more manageable to hold those whole team celebrations. So something that some of our really strong teams at the middle school do is they have weekly, or at least 2 to 3 times a month, they hold a whole team celebration where they bring everyone together, celebrate students, celebrate birthdays, and keeping it at 100 students was more manageable. Like I spoke about earlier, teachers only are required to be certified in 1 content area, which was a big ask of our staff, and we knew that would help with retention, and you know, you're just going to be a stronger teacher if you can really focus in on your 1 content area. And less curriculum preparation time. It also means that we can better ensure highly qualified. You know, when we're sharing content areas, sometimes you have teachers teaching maybe what they're not certified in. It allows for students to remain in their team groups throughout their electives, which we talked about. Dr. Ivory Tatum also talked about that the hallways are very, very contained, which is true for some of our teams at the middle school. It's not true across the board. And I do think we see a difference in the effectiveness of the teams at the middle school when they are able to be really contained into 1 area, as opposed to having to travel or have a lot of other grade levels walking in and out of their spaces. So this building does allow us to be much more contained, and there are 3 separate spaces we can focus on. And it also, this schedule also allowed us to keep an advisory period. It will not look exactly like our current advisory model, but we know we want to have that time to teach the new SEL curriculum that that Deanne is working so hard for us on. So this will make sure that we have that built in time every day to work on that, except Wednesday, just like now.
Hey, before you go, Joe, I wanted to just comment on one of the public comments that was made earlier
Sure.
about recess. I know tonight we're really focusing on the instructional pieces and the teaching aspect of the planning, but I also want to remind the board that the space is very open, lots of grass. We're going to keep one of the basketball courts. And there is going to be recess has been talked about a lot within the team. Julia, you weren't here for the public comment, but there was someone who talked about that we're not planning to have recess, and that is not something that is true. There have been a lot of discussions about mirroring. I mean, this is a 300 to 325 size building, so we're treating it very much like an elementary school in a lot of ways. I think a lot of the teachers on the team feel really strongly that the students do need time for recess. They need time to be out of the classroom and out of spaces where they can have that physical ability to just burn off some of that energy. So that's definitely something we've talked about a lot. Julia kind of talked about the team rec concept, which is something that's really big at UMS, and that gives the teams an opportunity to kind of go outside and do a lot of that outside activity, including recess. So I just wanted to, you weren't here when that was mentioned earlier, so I just wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, that same question came up from our staff, so I know that is an ask of them as well. Yep. Nope, sorry. Yes, so we can click on the draft in a minute if we would like, but for now, I just wanted to give some highlights to the schedule. Again, just like with the benefits of the 3-team model, there are definitely some that we've already talked about. There are 2 lunch periods, which means that we would only have 150 students in each lunch. This is again another huge celebration for myself as a 6th grade administrator. Currently, having 300 students in a space, as any of you can imagine, is very chaotic. Even though we can technically fit, it's just a lot of students to manage at one time. So having half of those students in the cafeteria at any given time will be huge for our safety. It will be huge for our student sensory needs. You know, just 300 people is just a lot of people. It's just loud. So I think 150 students in the lunchroom will be a huge win. And the current schedule that we have drafted would definitely support that. It gives us more time for on-team classes, and as we mentioned, on-team classes are those 4 core areas. So each of those, not just language arts, not just math, but science and social studies as well, would have 55 minutes a day to really focus on those skills. I know that was something that's come up in the past, this idea that maybe science and social studies were going to be diminished, but in fact they're getting extended time just like ELA and math will. It does unfortunately mean that we have decreased minutes for exploratory, but like Mr. Rusty said, we're still at 39, so we are just shy of that 40-minute mark. So I don't feel like it's a super short period. It is shortened, but not significantly. The decreased passing time down to 2 minutes with the intent of knowing that we will really support our students in those transitions at the beginning of the year. And then hopefully second semester we could move more towards the middle school model of allowing them the time and the practice of walking to their classes more independently. I'm going to let Priscilla talk about Avid for All in just a minute, but I just wanted to touch on these last couple things, just that, like Mr. Rusty said, we will still be having those before school activities, and there will be transportation, and the same goes for acceleration, that there will be an activity bus that goes back and forth for students that need to be at both buildings in a given day.
Is it the next slide or just this one?
It's right, and yeah, it's still on that one.
Yeah.
All right. One of the things that we talked about was continuing Avid at the 6th grade center and trying to find time in the elective. And it was brought up that Avid for All would be a great solution for that. And what Avid for All is, basically all teachers are teaching those Wicker strategies that they would normally see in the Avid elective classes, but everybody is using them in the classroom. So all students are exposed to Avid strategies and skills, so that way when they move over to UMS for 7th grade, they have the option to take the Avid classes, and they've been exposed to Avid already. And it's not something new like we get now.
Mm-hmm. This question has come up both here and outside with staffing, and that's just how will staff placements work. And I know I'm not a part of those union conversations anymore, but I've discussed with both UEA and Dr. Ivory Tatum, and some of the things we've discussed are that our current 6th grade staff would have the first priority for taking positions at the 6th grade center. So not this moment, but as of the 24-25 school year. For grade level specific staff, including our multilingual programming, that basically means our team teachers, but it is a little more nuanced than that. Changes within grade level positions would be handled internally. Currently, I can say as a 7th grade math teacher, well, I would really like to go to 6th grade math next year, and that is kind of done in collaboration with admin, and so that process would be maintained in this situation. And so admin would work with UEA to make those decisions. These 2 teachers both want to go to the 6th grade center, or these 2 6th grade teachers both want to stay back and go to 7th and 8th grade positions. And so we would collaborate, the admin team would collaborate with UEA, taking both what admin perspective is on what would be the best placement, as well as seniority taken into account. And then finally, but if multiple elective teachers, since they are cross grade level, so 2 PE teachers both want to go to the 6th grade center, we would give priority to seniority in that case, since they already work with all 3 grade levels. I think I'm done for a minute.
This slide was just to provide some historical context. This was presented as part of the Facilities Committee information, but this is the cost of the staffing for a 2-strand elementary school. This is Wiley on the screen, but it was last school year's costs, so those costs have since gone up with the new contract. But it was around $2 million to staff that 2-strand elementary school. And the reason we brought this slide forward was so that you could kind of see how that relates to the next 2 slides and some of the staffing advantages that we would see with the 6th grade center. So we presented this slide in August 2023 that showed that the staffing needs would be around $550,000 new money in addition in order to open that building, because the remaining staff that would staff that building would be shifted over from the middle school. the team teachers, et cetera. And then since this committee has convened and really worked on that programmatic aspect, that was really very draft, initial draft when it was presented to the board, but this is more of a final idea that we believe that it's gonna cost around $605,000 to staff the newer positions that need to be added to the building that wouldn't be able to shift over from the middle school. Did you want to add anything to that, Dr. Ivory Tatum?
Dr. Ivory Tatum and I have the last slide, and it's just our, as a committee and our commitment to our anticipated outcomes, what we hope to achieve, what we plan to see in terms of our expectations regarding academic outcomes improving. A lot of this systemic and structural changes that are taking place at the 6th grade center in comparison to what is currently happening at UMS, we believe strongly will only benefit students and staff for teacher recruitment, student outcomes, et cetera, in regards to, for example, the lunch example, being principal at UMS for several years, knowing that a lot of the behavioral needs and the reduction of class instruction or the class disruption needs always happen right after lunch due to the stimulation of lunch and having 300 bodies in one space. And so that's one concrete example of what we hope to expect. Calmer classrooms, calmer hallways, calmer lunchrooms, because the sheer volume of people is going to be less. The positive learning environment with the focus on the teaming structure, the finding that balance between what elementary schools, how they operate structurally and from a schedule perspective, making those shifts to be a little bit more like middle school, but not all the way there. We know that 6th graders right now, a lot of 6th graders get lost in the huge building of UMS, and leaving their team hallway to go to electives is really hard, and that's where we also see a lot of increased behavior and decreased academic learning when they're leaving those spaces. And so by improving these culture and climate issues and systemically, we believe that we'll see improvements in the learning environment, academic outcomes, social emotional learning, well-being, teacher retention and recruitment. We know that teachers across the country, but definitely right here in Urbana, are reaching frustration with the culture and climate that we're seeing at the middle school level. And so we really want to emphasize that improvement by minimizing a lot of the issues that we see at the bigger school with all the other students, and really being focused on 6th graders. The AVID for All will really be an academic focus to improve. Priscilla mentioned WICR, which is an acronym for writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. And the intent behind that is to create stronger learners and more scholarship for students to become more aware of their learning and taking school more seriously as a scholar, rather than without those types of skills and development, the WICR emphasis is on developing scholarship, attitudes and motivations. So that's the school-wide effort, which will be really nice for 6th grade so that they can move into 7, 8, already prepared for what that looks like at 7 and 8. More prepared, I just already mentioned this, the 6th grade transition, then transitioning to 7th, we believe is going to be a huge gain and improvement for our school-wide systems at both campuses. Less students leaving the district is our goal. As Dr. Artana mentioned earlier with our demographics, we see a lot of students that go through elementary, move away from middle school, come back in high school. We want to reduce that number and keep more students at the middle school level in our district. A huge need for several years has been roaming and skipping in the big building at UMS. And so by reducing the amount of time out of their hallways, the passing periods, just all the structural things, we believe that it will be more manageable to manage student attendance and student behaviors. Just point blank from an administrative perspective, and teachers who supervise different things throughout the school, when you have fewer total students in a space, it's easier to manage. When you have 900 pre-adolescents, preteens, it's a lot. And so by having 600 at one building and 300 at the other, there's just fewer students to supervise and support. As administrators, we know that on good days, there's still a lot of student needs that arise, and it feels sometimes like it's one after another because there's so many children in one building that need support. And so by reducing the total number, we can only better support our students and families. Dr. Tatum, did I catch it in summation? Okay. That was our last slide, so we're open as a committee to questions.
Right.
No, I did not run that data. Yeah, so, sure, I can, yeah.
How it was described to me, because I'm not a music teacher, how it was described to me, because I'm not a music teacher, is that's a separate class.
So percussion is going to be a separate class from the other one?
I feel, my understanding was there's already a class like this that is percussion. I think it's like a additional support class for percussion. My assumption is percussion would still be with band. That's how it was explained to me, and I think that is the current
Same
model.
model.
Yeah,
Same model.
there's a current.
That's what they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
Board members, any other questions? Anybody? Go for it, Sherry.
Okay, there's several. I'll just figure out. Okay, first of all, with the 3 teams that you're going to have, now, I might have missed something, but I see 4 science classrooms. So what is the use of the 4th one?
Yeah, one thing that we didn't put a ton of detail on this slideshow, which I now am rethinking, I would go redo this, is dual language classrooms are considered core classrooms, and so the 4th science class is a dual language science lab. There you go.
So with the 3 teams also having their electives together, how would you build cohesiveness and a school culture for the 6th grade?
Are you, just to clarify, are you asking like how we'll make sure that the 3 teams across are consistent? Is that what the question is? Okay, sorry.
I think one of the things that we thought was the advantage of the 6th graders is that they could be a stronger, supportive class before they enter the 7th, 8th, and then the high school. So if they're all separate in 3 or 4 different areas, how do you bring that cohesiveness together?
That's a great question. So one thing I'll say that doesn't completely answer is that they will still be with different teams during the lunch hours. So those lunch hours, the way that the schedule works, since they'll be in the music or intervention classes half the time, is that it won't be like this team is in lunch and this hour, this team is in lunch. So they should have, they'll have lunch together, so that would be one way.
And then one other way to look at it is you're taking 5 elementary buildings, and so it's like a step, right? So you take 5, which is a lot, and then you put it in there on 3 different teams of 100, and then the next step would be to expand that flexibility kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know that was concerned.
And we also talked a lot about really treating them like upper elementary students that first semester, you know, like my step between 5th and 6th, and then the second semester really trying to help build a lot more independence to help them be more ready for the independence that they're going to need when they go over as 7th graders too. So
Question referred more to the relationships between the students so that they get to know each other and support each other. Okay, next one with the accelerated classes. I don't know how many typically students go from 6th or 7th or 6th to 8th grade, but is there a way to do some of the accelerated classes inside the 6th grade center if there are enough students there that would benefit from it instead of sending them to go over to the middle school for the accelerated classes?
It's typically like less than 10 students per grade level that we're talking about, and that's even just for one class, let alone multiple. I think some of the classes maybe we could, but often our most common is math. And those typically are like they want the whole next grade level. So it's a possibility, but I'm assuming that most families would more prefer to have the acceleration if anyone wants to touch on that.
I just have a few more. What is the passing time now at the middle
2
school?
minutes. Oh,
It's
currently 4.
4 minutes, so, okay.
And I think going to Dr. Ari Tatum's comment about the first semester treating like upper elementary, there's been conversations at the committee level about how, like right now, students it's kind of a free-for-all to go to the bathroom during passing period, and then you ask for a pass to go during class, being much more elementary-like at first, and slowly transitioning the 6th graders to then develop those skills to be ready for 7th grade to be a little freer. But that's why there's not as much of a need for 4 minutes.
Hi. I have 3 questions that are coming from the community. The first one, and bear with me because like I didn't prepare to really take out the question. So, why aren't we implementing the team approach in the middle school? Like the approach you are planning now to do, the 3 teams, why they cannot work in the middle school as it is now?
We currently have 3 teams.
It's replicating what's currently going.
Okay, so that's a question. I'm saying it. The second question is, you explained that one with the charge about the new positions, costs, and operations. The third question is, what is going to happen with the kids with special needs, and why are they going to stay in the same building, or they're going to go to the new building?
Yep. What I mentioned earlier is that I think each year we'll have to look individually at the group of students coming in and see if we can meet their needs. My example was that this year a lot of our students in our special programming happened to be in our 6th grade building. So a year like this, we probably would consider having a case manager to focus on those special programmings embedded right into the 6th grade center. Then other years, maybe we only have one student who's coming in with special programming, and then we would have to make the tough decision. Could the case managers at the 6th grade center meet their needs? And if yes, then we would work to support them there. Maybe we increase TA services for that individual student, do what we can. And if not, then we might have to make the tough decision that some years we would have to have students from the 6th grade center go to the middle school. Please add.
One point of clarification maybe that might be helpful is Ms. Lowry speaking about specialized programming. What she's meaning by that is the most restrictive type of special education programming, and the reason I bring that up is the majority of students with IEPs and receiving special education services are served on team with case managers a part of that team. And so that would be at the 6th grade center with all of their peers. The small number, which is probably less than, at a grade level, or well, I guess 6, 7, and 8, less than 20 students in specialized, the more restrictive environments total, that's what she's speaking about. So those individual cases would be decided by the individual IEP team to decide which school would best serve that student and their needs based on the structure and programming that's offered.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And then the last one is that in the presentation there is not position for speech and hearing psychologists in the school or in the school suspension staff.
School
Are
suspension staff.
are those positions in there listed?
Come through email.
Yes.
And so Beth Ladd is here, but I'm going to read to you exactly what she said. So special education staffing and FTE assignment at each building is evaluated each year based on student numbers, needs, and many other factors, which is basically what the team here has said already. This year we have a full-time psychologist at UMS, and unfortunately we had a half-time psychologist position posted and was never filled, so we have been short this year, so it has felt, it's been a little harder for our psychologists. We've had retired psychologists that have been helping to cover. We are still maybe going to be short next year, but the position is posted and we hope we find someone. So if there's a retired psychologist who wants to work half-time, please email Beth Ladd. We are working on covering that shortage next year. So we currently have 2 FTE, which is basically two full-time speech language pathologists. I can't talk, my mouth is so dry. Plus bilingual speech language pathology at UMS. We'll evaluate the needs at UMS and the 6th grade center next spring to determine out of those current positions that we have servicing students with speech and language needs, who might go to the 6th grade center and who will stay at the 7th and 8th grade center. So I don't know that we can answer that right now. Was that pretty good, Beth? Okay, all right.
They will be there.
Yeah.
But they will be there.
There's dedicated space also, like in the office suite area.
Oh, yeah, we have spaces
speech
already.
language office or room, et cetera.
And I should have said that at the beginning, but I've said it before, but I forget that Ms. Hickson is here for the first time. So part of the meetings that we had throughout the year weren't just talking about the information that we're sharing with you tonight. We met with Scott's team probably all of first quarter and into second quarter. All of our meetings really were talking about the map, the building, the spaces, the needs, the instructional needs, the elective needs. And so they came and talked to people. They talked about what do you need. We saw rough drafts. We had conversations about the space for many, many meetings. So it was several weeks and weeks before we were able to even talk about some of the things that we're talking about. So they met with the clerical staff. They met with the student support team. They met with the special education team. They met with like all the groups. The elective teachers had an opportunity to share their hopes, wishes, and dreams, the core teachers. So there was a lot of teacher a voice in what the space is going to look like. And so I really want to applaud IGW for just spending something. I mean, like Scott came to every sixth grade meeting we had all year, but his team basically sat in, I want to say, for almost the first semester, but at least all the first quarter and a significant part of second quarter, just listening to the conversations to make sure that they were building a space or programming a space that really was going to meet the needs of what the teachers needed and what they feel the students really should have. So.
Can I follow up on Sitlali's question? I guess I didn't understand the answer to the first question you asked about, now I can't even think of it.
About the teams?
It'll come back to me.
The teams?
I'll ask my own questions. The 39 minutes and the 55 minutes for the classes. We used to be told that 50 minutes was a good amount of time for a class, that even adults don't sit and think much longer than 50 minutes. Even, grad students, when I taught grad school, if you taught for 2 hours, you had a 10-minute break after the first 50 minutes. So I was wondering, and I guess when I used to teach elementary, I loved longer time for art because maybe I was just not organized enough. But I'm wondering why the change.
Do you want to speak on the curriculum piece?
I can, or you guys can back me up. So Tanya Deacon's here, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction. One of the reasons we've increased the minutes is currently we have new curriculum. We've talked about our illustrative math curriculum. The minimum time that we should be implementing that curriculum with integrity is 55 minutes. That's what the curriculum, that's what the people who created the curriculum have said to us. And for our new literacy, ELA and SLA, Spanish Language Arts and English Language Arts curriculum, HMH, that we just adopted, the range is 47 to 50 minutes. Is that right, Tanya? So we thought 55 minutes. It doesn't quite give us all the ELA time that we want, but it gets us way closer to meeting the minutes, the minimum number of minutes that we needed for math. So those were some really intense conversations. I know there was a rumor floating around in the community that we were going to be taking all the elective classes down to 30 minutes. So the reason that kind of came up is when my kids were at, one of my kids attended UMS, we actually had double blocks of English Language Arts. So that meant students went to English Language Arts class twice, and they stayed in one space. They had a really significant time with reading, writing, and those language arts skills. And so we actually had a discussion about, do we want to revisit that model? Is that something that we wanted to have at the sixth grade center? And I think what we came to was an agreement that, yes, the core classes, ELA, math, social studies, and science are really important, and we want to make sure that all of our kids can read, write, and do math. But we also, our district is very committed to fine arts and the arts, and so we definitely wanted to make sure that we were giving our elective teachers and the students as many advantages as we could with the exploratory options as well. Anybody want to add? Yeah.
I just want to say, I think our strongest teachers in classrooms right now, even with a 47-minute period already, try and incorporate, you know, a brain break, some movement. Like, I don't think any of our strongest classrooms are going for 47 minutes straight of just straight instruction. And I don't, that's not the intent with the 55 minutes of bell to bell, you're sitting in your seat and you're receiving, you know. So I also wanted to clarify that I don't think that's the intent either with those 55 minutes. There should be a brain break in there. Our ELA curriculum is definitely structured that there's different chunking already built into that.
Okay. And my brain has had a break, and I remember the question. Good. So Lolly asked about the team approach and why we weren't using that same approach with sixth graders at the middle school, so that as I understood what was presented, the students will not intermingle as much with the other kids on the other team. They're going to stay with their team with fine arts and PE and stuff like that. So if we think that is beneficial for them at a separate middle school, why are we not doing that at the middle school?
The main reason is schedule, because you have 3 grade levels in the current building, and then staffing for those classes, and space. Like, you have to kind of, so that all 3 of those components limit the schedule possibilities. Now, when the 7th, 8th grade building meets starting in August or September, I, as an elective teacher, would approve of either a transition to a similar thing for 7th and 8th graders, like where you build it a little bit more. But currently now, as I've met with the person that does the schedule several times, we're kind of locked in to this is what we have. And a lot of the thought process during this planning was, how do you provide flexibility and kind of movement in the schedule to where you can make some of those changes? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, also at the 6th grade center, I mean, there's a lot fewer elective options. So that allows the schedule to create, how Rusty's kind of describing, that system where you can move kids, you know, with their same teams. Currently at the middle school right now, we have quite a few electives that wouldn't allow that schedule-wise.
Okay, so are the 6th graders then losing some elective options and going to the 6th grade center?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And then
gaining, because they're gaining dance and drama, and they're gaining dance and drama, and they're gaining media. So it would provide. They currently have media, but it's limited to 2 media classes for all 300 sixth graders. So that would provide 4 more classes of media, and then dance and drama again would be limited to 2 classes for 300 students, because it's also for 7th and 8th next year. So that would be adding 4 there. So they're losing some options, but they're also gaining more options or opportunities. So it's kind of like a give and take.
They're shifting options. Okay, but I mean, if they stayed at the middle school, they'd still be getting dance and drama.
Not necessarily, because
you said
there's
7th and 8th grade would be getting
it would be
all 4 of them.
Yeah, it'd be an option, but since there's so many options at the middle school, not everybody would be able to be in those classes.
Okay, so what are the options they're going to be missing out on?
There won't be foreign language at the 6th grade center. There won't be family and consumer science at the middle school. There won't be film, but we're not sure that class will exist at that time anymore anyways. Those are the big ones. Am I forgetting of something?
Avid, we just incorporated.
Yes, Avid, but that is going to be incorporated across all. I think those are it.
So foreign language. Okay.
So,
That's
just
been my
just as a
my
reminder,
great nephew's favorite class.
As a reminder, though, foreign language currently in 6th grade is an intro class.
Right.
The actual class doesn't start till 7th grade.
Right.
It's an exploratory
It's
option, so it's
exploratory.
like a little taste of it.
it's like quarter by quarter, right? So that you could give each kid a chance to try out German or try out.
And we had a lot of discussion about facts, the family and consumer science option. Not only is it kind of cost, a huge cost to kind of build a FACS lab in the sixth grade center? I think right now the staff that teach that, specifically Barbie Price, we talked with her about it. We feel like that is something that is maturity-wise, in terms of being able to handle the things that you can handle in that space, are going to happen as seventh graders. And right now, the curriculum options for sixth grade were really limited, and so it'll be something they can look forward to when they go to seventh grade, that they get to now participate in the consumer science classes.
And as we were talking about that, it did remind me that we actually are not going to have FACS as an option for sixth grade next year anyway. So it currently is this year, but in our whole UMS building next year, we won't have a sixth grade FACS class anymore anyways, because we're going down to one FACS teacher.
Dance and drama.
Dance, yeah, to support the dance and drama.
One thing that I wanted to talk about, I don't remember who made the comment earlier today, but somebody made a comment about class sizes, that this model was not going to be decreasing class size. But we had a lot of conversation about the elective options, because our goal is to keep the classes under 30, and having every elective that we offer, including the PEs, all happening, it allows those classes to be smaller. If we had one or two less options, which would be better for us financially, not to have those FTE, but we said if we want to have not only the quality instruction, we also want to make sure that those classes aren't overloaded with 30 or more kids. So that's why we really said, yes, we want to include those. We know it's going to cost the salary of maybe an extra teacher from the $550 to $605. Which is what you saw in the PowerPoint, but the slides really don't show what we get by having that extra additional elective teacher, which is one of those biggies, is keeping those classes smaller.
And the accelerated classes, would students still be able, like if a sixth grader did a number of accelerated classes, those would still be available, but the sixth grader would have to travel to the middle school?
Correct.
And there wouldn't be a limit on how many classes that, for instance, if my son took drum lessons from the time he was 6, and so when he got to the middle school, they put him in the eighth grade band. And he, if he was in like accelerated math, or English language arts, or whatever, would there be any limit to that, and how would that impact his schedule for all the other classes?
There would, if there's, I don't know what the current policy is regarding, because I haven't been with acceleration for a few years since I was principal, but if a student qualifies to accelerate in the majority of their classes, typically they would skip that whole grade. So in that particular case, they would go all the way up to 7th. If they're accelerating in all the subject areas, for example. If it's just 1 or 2, or not a full day, we have a lot of students that are doing that currently from UMS to UHS. They walk over for high school classes. Their schedule is individualized so that they have their UMS classes and their UHS classes throughout the day. Sometimes there's overlap where they have to wait outside the office for 10 minutes until the bells align. But that's what we have discussed for the 6th grade center, would be a similar process, that we would develop a schedule.
Walk from Wiley to?
Not necessarily walk. I just mean develop an individual schedule for 6th grade and at 7, 8, depending on what they qualify for. What we would provide transportation. That's the activity bus comment from one of the slides earlier.
Just to add to that, there's already going to be limits to the schedule. For example, if you're a 7th grade or 6th grader going to 8th grade math, there's limited periods that you can do that because the schedule has to align perfectly. Maybe you do have to take another grade level elective. Those are choices that our accelerated students already have to make. What do I prioritize? What am I going to choose? And that's made with the administrator, the counselor, the family, the student. You just decide what makes the most sense for that individual student. And like I said, that's about less than 10 students, so it really is very individualized because every kid and every family is different.
And you don't think it'll be more difficult?
I'm sure that things will be challenging, but just like we figure it out now, we figure it out.
Okay. And I'm wondering if the travel time for teachers, it seemed to me, okay, when we had to have a teacher travel between the high school and King School, that teacher she taught less than, because she was traveling from King to the high school. And so we were actually paying like 20% of her salary for her to drive. So has that cost been figured in here? Will we need any more teachers to cover? Because we have teachers, I mean, if we have, somebody asked me, a parent asked me, so will they just ask the teacher to come over on their prep period or drive over on their lunch? And I said, absolutely
No.
not.
Of course not.
So what's going to happen with that?
So for music particularly, because the traveling from, I don't think any team teachers are traveling, is electives. Currently, 2 of the 3 music teachers only have 5 periods, and their 6th period is supervision. So contractually, a teacher would have to have prep, lunch with no travel, and then what was their supervision would be their travel time.
Okay, so there
It doesn't take away instructional period.
it won't take away any instruction.
Base-
And then would we have to hire another supervisor? No, we just don't need that supervisor anymore.
There would be one that goes back to the benefit of fewer students in one space. So we would need less supervision in one space where it'd be spread out across 2. There's a couple, and the teachers that are still at or at the 6th grade center that aren't traveling would be supervising as well. So there would be less supervision spots as there is currently because the buildings would be different.
All right, anybody else? I have a couple of questions of my own. The first one is just an informational point. In one of your first slides, you were talking about how UMS is currently 60-something% low income. How's low income defined? If it's not free and reduced lunch,
it's-
would that be higher?
It is, yeah, it's, if you qualify for
really?
free and reduced
Oh, I
lunch,
thought it'd
that
be
is the
higher than
number that,
60-something%.
I think it is.
for the middle school.
Yeah, I thought it would be higher too.
John gave me that data.
I think it's more in the 70s historically.
Yeah, exactly. That seemed low to me. That's why I asked.
What's your
Well,
next
yeah. Well, while
question while
John's
he's
looking
looking
that
that
up.
up?
Okay, that's more in line with what I would expect. This is a question for Katie, and something I probably should have thought of over the weekend and asked you out of band. But in terms of like the overall cost for additional staffing, that's just our staff. Have we considered also the additional cost for cleaning services and for food service as well? How much that would be?
That's not included in what was presented today.
Yeah. My apologies for not asking that ahead of time. But
It's okay.
you
We
follow
can get those numbers.
Appreciate it. I
Mhm.
just thought of it while I was here.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you.
And it's one last question: is how Splash operates? Is that going to change with the 6th grade center?
So Splash is going away. We don't have funding for Splash anymore. That was part of the 21st Century Grant. We've written several grants and hoping, we wrote, Tanya's sitting back there. She and I spent a lot of time working on the Teen Reach grant. The district has had Teen Reach in the past, and we're hoping that we get funded for that. We did just find out, and I shared this with Ms. Bonner, but I haven't shared it with you guys. I just shared it today, that we did receive money from the City of Urbana Youth Services Grant. So a small amount of the money, about $20,000, that will help us at least for next year get Splash up and going for the first Splash session. And then we're hoping that some of the grants that we've been writing will help us continue Splash throughout the year. Just the grant that we wrote for Teen Reach was about $340,000 overall. $210,000 of it is just staffing. So Splash is a really really heavily staff-driven process because of the number of classes that the students take and just the amount of time that they're at UMS. So we're going to work with Ms. Bonner, who is currently the coordinator, and the team at UMS to figure out what our options are for next year. We have not thought ahead to 25, 26. We're just trying to get splashback for next year right now.
Right. Any other questions?
So if I understood Paul's question correctly, then the 605,000 is, it has to come up a little bit.
Well-
And I met with Katie this morning, and she was really good to spend a lot of time with me. And she agreed. She said it's $2 million to repopulate Wiley, to put all the staff back in there. But she and I both agreed that some of that staff actually would come, just like some of this staff is coming from the middle school, some of that staff would come from Thomas Paine or Yankee Ridge or whatever. And so the savings, the difference isn't between $2 million and $605,000. It's, you know, closer to what Jennifer Ivy Tatum sent me as $1 million.
We haven't done that analysis, so we
We
don't
haven't
actually
done
know
the
that.
analysis, right.
And I would assume it would be more. But you're right, but yes, all of what you said is accurate. And as far as Paul's question, which I will get some figures for that as best as I can, you know, that would apply whether it was a two-strand
Right.
school or, so that's kind of not really I mean, yes, it's a relevant cost to getting the building up and running, but as far as the use of the building, those would be the same costs.
So basically, whatever we have there, we're going to have to feed kids, and we're going to have to clean the building.
Sure.
So it
Yep.
doesn't matter if it's a sixth grade center or whatever it is.
It's a fixed
If there are
cost.
people there, we're going to feed them, and just like with buses, right? Like we're going to pick up kids in yellow buses. We're going to pick up kids in MTD buses. Those
Randy-
are all things that we would do no matter what.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Randy looked up some similar size buildings for our current cleaning contracts, and it's between 125 and 103,000. So somewhere in that for cleaning. And then the food service, there may be some staffing. I don't know really that they'd need to do much because the staff would shift with the students for the most part. So that would be a conversation we would have with Quest, but all of their meal reimbursements are based on the meals served, which is based on the number of students. So they would adjust their staffing levels at those buildings probably accordingly and probably not try to increase their staff, their total staff, for their company. Otherwise, they're not necessarily serving more students in total, so they wouldn't necessarily be able to afford to add additional staff. So it would be a shifting more than an increase.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Responding to what you said too, with the, if the staff would come from like Thomas Paine to Wiley, if it was another elementary school, we'd still have those openings at Thomas Paine. You'd still have to have teachers in there for students. And I think you said
Not
about
for the
3.
students that return.
But
We
they're,
could-
but they're
Can we
scattered
please
all
not
over.
talk over each other, please?
Yeah, they're scattered all over in different classes, so there would still be vacancies because those teachers went over and they took over some of those vacancies that we had and saved us money that way and filled positions that we couldn't have filled. So I don't think that there's going to be that much savings because we're going to need staff.
Anyone else have comments or questions? Go ahead, Sherry.
I just said when we discussed this and we thought about this last October, we said, what if, what if, what if? And it's so nice to hear the answers. And I know that you've worked a long time with that and worked together and had to sort through a lot of things. And it's evident that you've worked well together, and we appreciate it.
You know that I came over and spoke to some of the staff at the middle school. Do you feel that you have strong support from the middle school staff for the sixth grade center?
Yes, I do. I do. And I do also feel that this is going to be like a huge, game-changing moment that the district has the money, the resources, the planning, the time to really make this happen. So we really look forward to seeing this move forward.
Yeah, that is not what I heard from the staff members that I spoke to. And so I would hope that you would speak to more of them and either, convince them or, let them know, because even after the presentation that was given on Wednesday to the staff, I heard via email that people were still not terribly pleased with the idea of the sixth grade center, and had, for a number of reasons.
So there are 150 people in your building, 160. So I can't imagine a plan that we would create that would satisfy and make all 150 to 160 people at UMS 110% in on anything that we do. Just as superintendent, every decision that I make, I am splitting between, people who are going to be happy and people who aren't. And that is basically with any initiative that we have. Even adopting new curriculum, right? Like we looked at all these different curriculums, and when we sent out the survey and said, okay, folks, what do we want? It is impossible to satisfy 100% and everyone say, oh, we love this, this is what we want. It just doesn't happen. I appreciate what you're saying, and I think the fact that we have a whole year to continue to have those conversations with staff, to continue to listen. I think the folks on Wednesday asked really good questions. Julie and Derek were both there, and the team that's here were all in that space. And so we're going to continue to listen to the questions and concerns that are being posed from people who aren't 110% in right now. The good thing is, I know we've gotten a lot of questions about what are we going to do for 7th and 8th grade. Well, we have a whole year to figure that out. And we're going to open it up to other staff to be able to get their voice on what we're going to do with the spaces. We've heard, all kinds of ideas. But it's nice to have options, right? It's nice to be able to have the ability to look at something, be creative and innovative, and do something different. So my hope, and I think what Mr. Cooper is saying too, is as more people get to be part of these conversations, remember it's been a very small group that has been planning.
But you said at the beginning that it hadn't been a small group.
I mean,
Again, Ms. Hickson, please, don't interrupt somebody who's talking.
Out of 160 people, to have 15, 20 people in a space is a small group. And so I think for 7th and 8th grade, we're going to have probably a very similar group. We'll open it up. We'll ask for volunteers. We definitely want people from different disciplines and departments to kind of represent the voice of their folks. But again, when you're not part of every single meeting, it does feel like like people were really anxious to hear this on Wednesday because they haven't all been in the space, and it's difficult to make decisions with 150 people together. So that's why we do things in committee, and that's why committees work. And so next year, we'll have another planning committee that'll be able to answer even more questions about what will happen with the UMS space. But again, I think the more voices, the more people who get to be part of these conversations, the more we'll be able to address some of the questions and concerns that we are continuing to get. So I don't know if anybody else yet.
I just wanted to assure you I'm meeting with a group of elective teachers again in the morning. Like, these conversations are not, just because they aren't happening in that whole Wednesday group, just because they aren't happening in the big committee group, doesn't mean that those conversations aren't happening. We're having lots of outside meetings with individuals as well. And if you are hearing from people who are not coming to us, I encourage you to remind them that their administrators are here and ready to listen to them.
Okay, that'd be great. And the only thing I was saying was that at the very beginning of the presentation, you said that you had, yes, this was a large group, but that you had also spoken to a lot of other people and gotten a lot of other, and so I was just wondering what you felt the input was. So, because it wasn't what I had heard, but it was a small group that I spoke to.
I think it's important to remember that change is hard, and that's just a reality. I think if you had gone and asked a different set of questions, maybe about how things are currently, you'd have a lot more than 18 people that are pissed off and saying what we're currently doing is not working. So in any of these situations, there's going to be a flip side. There's always going to be people that are happy. There are going to be people that are upset. There are going to be people that stay. There are going to be people that leave. That's just a reality to anything that we do and any decision that we make. So again, thank you to the committee. I know it's a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of extra hours, and I just want to say personally, I appreciate all of the time, not only those of you that are here put in, but the individuals who are not here that couldn't make it tonight, but that did put in all of that hard work. Thank you for all of this and all of the questions that you ask in between, or that we ask in between board meetings, and just to kind of get our understanding together before we get here. So, thank you.
I agree. I think the work was really good. But this, to me, this was not the strategic plan that we need to go forward to borrow as much money as we're going to need to borrow. And I prepared a citizen statement, and so I would like to read it. Some board members have wondered why I am asking so many questions. And one said to me that, quote, "I see that my role is trying to keep the board's recent decisions on course." And I guess I want to answer that question. I'm doing this because of the oath that I took. And this may sound corny, but I had never, ever taken an oath before. And it really hit me hard. And the very, very first thing on the oath was, I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. And the fourth thing was, I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. And the other thing that I thought was important is I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. In the last 14 years, according to what Katie sent us, we have spent $50 million on expanding King, expanding Yankee Ridge, paying off debt related to expanding Prairie, and expanding Thomas Paine. At a meeting at central office this morning, someone mentioned that basically, over the years, we had built the equivalent of a full elementary school with all of these additions. And I asked about, particularly about Thomas Paine. When a friend of mine who used to work at Thomas Paine went over there to see the addition. And she was talking to the principal, and she asked, okay, it's beautiful, but why did we build 15 classrooms to a building that has fewer and fewer students in it? And she was told, well, that's where the kids from Wiley will come. And she said the displaced kids from Wiley. And that day at coffee, I asked her, do you think that was the plan all along? Because would we build 15 permanent, wonderful classrooms to solve what we know would be a temporary problem? And so I asked at central office this morning, was this the plan all along? And I was told no. So we had no plan. And over the years, we spent $50 million on the equivalent of a full school. But it is not the school we would like to have had north of the interstate, near the homes of many of our Latino families, a school that would have been great for the DL program. But
Now we don't have that money because we spent it on poorly planned projects. If we continue tonight with the sixth grade center project, borrowing $24 million, we will be following that same path. I appreciate all the planning that the UMS staff members donated to giving us a plan for this building and for this group of students at this time. But this is not a strategic plan, and borrowing this money will tie our hands for a long time. According to the News Gazette last week, Urbana's average income is not even in the top 10 of our neighboring communities. We are not a rich community, but our school tax burden is high. Paying down debt to lower our tax burden should be something that we consider for the good of our families and our community. And what if we could pay down our debt? Maybe we could use our sales tax funds for something like geothermal or solar panels. The early childhood building is incredibly efficient with their heating. I think I saw a comparison between heating and cooling costs for early childhood and this building, Tiger Academy. $3,000 and $16,000. That's a lot of money. Could we then use that money saved from reducing utility costs for the education fund and actually increase services for students? So let's go back to where I began. The role of the board is to ensure that we use our limited, precious resources that we have to provide a school system that benefits all students, improves their academic success. Our students need it, our teachers need it, and our community needs it. So that's it.
Thank you. If you'd permit me, I'd like to
Sure.
give an opportunity to explain the expansions both at Yankee Ridge and at Thomas Paine. We didn't spend $50 million on those 16 classrooms. Most of the money we spent on all these remodelings were in the adding a gym, adding fine arts classrooms, and refurbishing. In fact, when we did the bid process for Yankee Ridge, it was done structured in a way where we had the base bid, which included the extra gym, which included the refurbishing, and we had this concept called an ad alternate. So you put a project out for bid, and the base bid includes most of it, but there might be extra things you would want to choose if the price comes in at low enough. You're required to take the lowest base bid, but then when that base bid comes in, the board can then decide, okay, this company offered us the lowest base bid, and then the ad alternates were this dollar figure and this dollar figure. The added classrooms were part of an ad alternate in the ad alternate. So it was not part of the base bid. It was saying if this, when the bid came in, the base bid was underneath $8 million for doing Yankee Ridge. The ad alternate for those 8 additional classrooms was $1 million. We will never, ever be able to add 8 classrooms to this district for $1 million. It was a bargain. That was a big part of why it was done. The other reason is anytime we'd refurbished a building, we had seen enrollment increases. We saw that at Prairie, we saw it at King. We were hopeful. We had hope that we would see also enrollment increases at Yankee Ridge with the refurbishment of the building. Didn't happen. As far as Thomas Paine was concerned, we also had known that where our students are coming from had shifted eastward dramatically. So we built more classrooms where our students are. That's the long and short of it. We also had hope that perhaps we would see elementary enrollment increases. They did not materialize. So to honor our oath, at least from my perspective, That's why we had to make the hard decision with regards to Wiley. We added 16 classrooms across the district, and we closed 13. And saved us $1 million a year on our offering budget. I wish we didn't have to make that decision, but it was for the best interest of the district as a whole. It's the best interest of honoring our commitment to the taxpayers as well. That was my rationale.
So I wanted to respond to spending $50 million without a plan. So we've had two facilities committees dating back to 2008. There was a very detailed plan, and we stuck to it. We started with King, and that committee, which put forth the plan to make sure that we bring every single elementary school to a certain level with a dedicated gym, a multi-purpose room space, a dedicated fine arts suite because of our commitment to fine arts, was basically done. Wiley was the last school. It took us many, many years, well, Thomas Paine, but I mean, Wiley was to be the last school until we, as Paul said, we did not go through with that plan because of the needs of our where our students live and our enrollment needs, and we didn't have the students and the projected enrollment. So there was a plan, and I want to thank the committee members and many of them who are still in the community who were part of that 2008-2009 plan. Our former superintendent who led that is in the room, and so we appreciate the vision from that committee. There was another committee, facilities committee, that Paul was a part of as a board member and a parent, that convened in 2016 to again look at our facility spaces and talk about some of the things. One of the things that you basically brought up was, do we need a school north of 74? And that committee was also comprised of many people from the community who are still here. And the decision from that committee was that we don't have the students there. We don't have there is not, again, an enrollment need, and based on where our students were living, there was not a need at that time to have a building north of 74. So we continued on with the facility plan that was set forth in 2008-2009. So to say that we spent that much money without a plan, I don't think is fair to the board members who were diligent about that work, to our former superintendents, Dr. Williams and Dr. Owen, who made sure that that work happened the way the committees said that they would. So just wanted to kind of remind everybody about that.
Can we let our guests, since these are questions kind of beyond the 6th grade presentation, because
That's exactly what I wanted to say.
can they
wanted
go
to say
home?
that everything that is happening right now is totally unrelated
Right.
between the presentation.
Agreed.
And if I didn't know that the board members can do a statement, and I feel like we're gonna do a statement, we should have 5 minutes as well. Because if we're gonna act as a citizen, then we have to have the rules as well. I don't think it's fair for the presentation. Also, it's not fair for all of us that we are sitting in here responding one-on-one to questions. Other thing is really wrong to think that all the Latinos are just outside of Urbana, and that they have to build a school for them in there. That is really harsh.
So are board members okay with letting our team go? Are there any other questions for the UMS team and Dr. Remount?
Again, I just wanted to say too that the reason that we're doing this is for the students, and then you put the students first in your plan. And I think the students will be better off in an environment like that because they're not doing well where they are now.
Yeah.
So thank you for caring about the students.
Really quickly, I want to commend our board members who have gone to UMS. I would also recommend that all of us go there and have lunch there while you can, to really observe what it's like. I mean, it's absolutely crazy at lunchtime. Have
Great.
lunch there before the end of the school year, please. In the cafeteria.
Yeah. Eating the school lunch, too.
Thank you, guys.
I want to talk something. I really do.
All right, next up in administrative reports is our summer projects.
All right, good evening, board. This is a review of the summer projects for our
Just some of the stuff that I have on a list. It's not exactly what we're going to do. We'll probably do a few more smaller things, but this is just kind of a brief look at some of the stuff we already have planned. For this building right here, we're looking at putting new air conditioner rooftop units on it. Dr. Martin Luther King, new flooring at the northwest entrance, and painting half the building. We painted the other half last year. We're going to paint the other half this year. Dr. Preston Williams, we're going to remove and replace carpet with VCT in 8 rooms, and we're going to upgrade the entryway with some window clings. My shop, the facilities department, we're going to put an air conditioner on the roof. It's been kind of warm in there. We're going to replace the shop doors and hopefully get a new van. For a student, we're putting an air conditioning unit on their roof. They've been having window units, and that unit is one that we've repurposed from our old central office at 205 Ray Street. The city let us take a couple of the units off, so we're putting them on the bus barn for all their people. Leal Elementary, we're going to put an asphalt coat on the road that goes between the playground and the grass parking lot. We're going to upgrade the building entry with some window clings. We got to patch and paint where we had a small leak in the ceiling in the northwest hall, and door number 4 is the main door that we get most of their deliveries for food and just our deliveries that we take there. And the tile's been kind of broken up, so we're gonna put a walk-off carpet in that area. Thomas Paine Elementary, the library needs an emergency light, emergency exit sign installed, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna replace the current lunchroom floor, which is plywood, and we're gonna put VCT on that. The burglar alarm will be installed, and we're gonna do some tuck pointing at door 2. Tiger Academy, which is the same as the adult ed, is getting a new AC. I guess the adult ed's in back, Tiger Academy's up front, so they're both sharing some new AC units. Pardon? It does. This one we just replaced this one kind of ahead of schedule. Early childhood, we're gonna do some window clings at the entry. We're gonna do a curb repair. One of the handicap sidewalk cutouts needs to be repaired and expanded, and we're gonna do some parking lot restriping on the east lot to try to get people from parking in that spot and make them use parking spots instead of parking in the little turnaround. At the high school, we've got a few rooms we're going to put some new flooring in. Door 1, the concrete entry pad outside of door 1 is going to get replaced for Sherry. And then we're going to do a restroom remodel. We're trying a new product, and it's they're going to do a coat on the floor so far up the wall, like 2 to 3 feet, maybe 4 feet, and then it's also going to coat the bathroom stalls. And we're going to try that on one of the restrooms and see how that works, and then maybe this winter or next summer try to do a bunch more. We're also doing a similar product at Yankee Ridge, and I'll talk about that when I get to it. But we're also going to work on the drinking fountains and sinks in all the bathrooms too. I'm not going to go into the middle school. We have 8 or so rooms that we're going to redo the flooring. We're going to work on the tuck pointing, the ramp over here by the gym, between the gym and the concession stand, kind of. The gym stage, I want to paint the walls. We're doing a freezer and cooler replacement for the middle school. A bells and clock upgrade for the middle school. Repair some sound panels in the course and band room. Repair sinks. We've ordered 12 new lunchroom tables, and we're also gonna work on, getting some, like window or clings for like the, cafeteria and around the building, just to kinda maybe hopefully boost some morale. And then the, chiller will be completely installed this summer. Yankee Ridge and the pod, we're gonna work on the restrooms there. We're gonna do a floor and sink replacement. And that, again, the flooring will be some sort of a coating that we're working with the company on, kind of like a, you see like for garage floors, a coating, but it's gonna be a lot tougher. And then we have to replace some signage, just to update that to Spanish. And then district-wide, we'll be working on all the gym floors, waxing classrooms and hallways, parking lot striping, seal coat parking lots, and then changing all the alarm codes in all of the buildings. Any questions?
Board members, any questions for Randy about the summer projects?
Is the chiller in the middle school the HVAC?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Just curious, Randy, is it like an epoxy coating?
Yes.
Putting it on the floor? Okay.
Yeah.
Should be pretty tough then.
It should be really tough, yeah, and easier to clean. It'll get rid of the grout lines and make it a smoother floor. Right now, our tile are kind of cupped. That's the way they were designed, and not, so it'll be a little bit smoother and easier to clean.
How about I like the word gription. Is it slick?
It's not going to be slick,
Okay,
no.
good.
It'll have a little bit of texture to it.
Gotcha. Cool, thanks.
Anyone else? All right, thanks for that overview, Randy.
You're welcome.
Next up are our action items on our consent agenda. 11.1 are our minutes from the April 16th business meeting, the May 6th special meeting, and the May 7th study session. 11.2 are our bills and checks. Ed fund bills to the tune of $1.9 million. O&M fund bills for $253,000. Transportation fund bills for $357,000. Working cash bonds for $188,000. School facility occupancy tax for $645,000. Tort for $140,000. Life safety levy for $38,000. Payroll, salary and benefits for $4.5 million. And Urbana adult education for March and April, $217,000. 11.3 is approval of personnel items. It's a long list, as is typical for this time of year. 11.4 is approval of administrative personnel items. 11.5 is a resolution authorizing and directing the sale of disposal of personal property. This includes window air conditioners, old van ladder rack, golf cart, coin counter machine, math sets, math textbooks, library books at Leal, UHS, and DPW. And a new activity account is on our consent agenda for Urbana High School's Tiger Cafe and Loophole. Does any board member wish to have any of these specific action items removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none.
Hello? Not removed, but I think in the minutes, Lori, I think that I'm pretty sure my name and one other person's name was left out of that, the minutes of that, the first one, the meeting. Yes, the very first one that I came to. Just look at it. I think that two board members' names, mine being one of them, and I don't remember the other one. Yeah, just being present. Yeah, that was,
Okay.
I didn't know if that was important, but you asked.
No, yeah, absolutely. Well, what we can do then is when we make the motion, so this is just a list of the consent agenda, right? And then any board member can ask to have one or more items voted on separately. And then you can make a motion basically saying, we approve the consent agenda with amending the April 16th minutes to include the fact that you were present. So if you wish to make that motion, the chair would.
I make that motion.
Okay, so it is been moved that the consent agenda be approved with the meeting minutes from the April 16th business meeting being amended to note Member Hickson's presence.
And anyone else missing.
And anyone else. who's missing as well. And it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Roll call, please. Sherry. And any order is fine.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Baxley?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Member Stanton?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Vice President Exon?
Yes.
And President Pulowski.
Yes. Now on to our individual. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I forgot. Go ahead, Angie.
That's okay. Mrs. Douglas, would you join us up front? Thank you. Thank you for being so patient this evening. I know that you had a lot of things going on with kids and band concerts and track and all the things, so. On April 25th, 2024, members of the UEA Building Leadership and District Student Services Leadership interviewed 4 candidates to serve as the next special education administrator. Following the level 1 interviews, the top 2 candidates advanced to level 2 interviews with Dr. Ivory Tatum and the executive team. Mrs. Jacqueline Douglas was selected as the most outstanding candidate. Ms. Jacqueline, otherwise known as Jackie Douglas, began her educational career in 2009 as a behavior intervention specialist with the READY program in Champaign. For the past 6 years, Mrs. Douglas has served as a social worker and is currently the assistant principal at Garden Hills Academy in Champaign. Mrs. Douglas currently serves the Urbana School District as a middle school volleyball and track and field coach. As a 2003 Urbana alumni and a former college athlete at Illinois State University, Jackie's commitment to excellence in academics and extracurricular activities is admirable. Just tonight, students from Urbana Middle School are recognized for their achievements in the track and field season under Mrs. Douglas and others' leadership with their recent awards at the state competition. During Mrs. Douglas' career, 2 prestigious awards include achieving the Illinois State Board of Education Meritorious Award and one of the Central Illinois Business 40 Under 40 recipients. Jackie's knowledge of special education services, culturally responsive teaching, and trauma-informed practices, as well as her commitment to excellence, will serve the students, staff, and families well in Urbana. On behalf of the Urbana administration, we are excited and pleased to recommend Ms. Jacqueline Douglas to serve effective July 23rd, 2024. And you've already been voted in, so it's official. Yes.
Congratulations and welcome.
If you have anything you want to say, you can hit the microphone. Just turn it to green. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you. I first would like to thank the board and the interview team for believing in me and giving me the opportunity to work in an outstanding community with outstanding schools. I'd also like to take the time to thank my village, who is behind me, my parents, to my daughters, Gemma and Amaya, to my outstanding husband, Paul Douglas, and to one of my mentors, Dr. Fuller. I look forward to coming back home and working with a dynamic team to give back to a community that has provided me with so many opportunities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, now moving on to our individual action items. First up are gifts. Linda Morris purchased a maple crimson sunset tree with memorial pack honoring Danny Morris, an All-American football player for UHS in 1968. The tree was planted and the plaque was placed by USD 116 facilities at the entrance of the Urbana High School Athletic Complex. Joe Thompson donated $250 to the Urbana High School baseball program. Altria USA, I can't say it. Altrusa International of Champaign-Urbana made 2 recent donations, $750 to Urbana Adult Education Center to help pay for graduation gowns and $500 worth of materials and supplies for kindergarten readiness bags. Epsilon Delta Professional Training Teaching Organization at the University of Illinois donated a large case of various school supplies for Urbana School District 116 students. Ruth Wyman Law Office, LLC, donated $500 to Urbana Middle School PBIS programs, year-end celebration. Carol A. Lichtensteger donated $500 to their Urbana Middle School Concert Band St. Louis trip. The following made a total of $2,570.31 in donations to the Lisa Ellen Witchell Memorial Library at Leal Elementary School in memory of Toby Shimkin, Rebecca Wachtel, Paul Witchell, Lisa Emerald Curtis, Nancy Bauer, Louis Green, Sarah Carr, Ray Spooner, and Pamela Donze Daly. Is there a motion to accept the gifts and send out the appropriate thank yous?
I move for approval, accepting the gifts and sending out thank yous.
Oh, second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up is separation agreement. This is a request for enter a separation agreement with Seema Thurman. Is there a motion for the floor?
I move to approve the separation agreement with Dr. Seema Thurman.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Baxley?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Staton?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Exum?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes. 12.3 are salary and benefits allocation for non-union support staff, district administrators.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Katie take the lead on our memo. This is our salary allocation. She has done some creative, I don't know, Katie, you take it. I'm like tongue-tied.
So, sorry, I wasn't ready to speak, but that's fine. The salary recommendation that we're bringing forth to you tonight for non-union support staff is actually the same recommendation that we did last year. The union support staff received a 17% increase with the first year of the contract, but we were not able to match that for non-union support staff, which is what we normally would do. So we did this approach, was about a little over a 7% increase last year, and our recommendation is that we repeat it again. The flat increases really help bring the lower wage employees up, and with minimum wage increases, it's really making a big difference in their lives. So we would really like to continue that. We also added in longevity increase for years of service for an additional 10 cents, 20 cents, and 30 cents. And for administrators, the recommendation is a 4.5% average increase with the exception of the chief financial officer and the chief information officer due to their need to be adjusted to market.
Move for approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further comments or discussion?
I have a question. What is the no union support staff? What are we talking about?
Yeah. So our non-union support staff are like our clerical staff, our custodial staff, anybody that, like our parent liaisons, anybody that are not part of our collective bargaining agreement. And so the average for the raise, as Katie said, was the 6.96. Last year, for our UEA staff, our union staff, those raises have already been determined for the next 3 years. So that's why they're not mentioned. But last year, our support staff and TA positions, for example, got a 17% raise because we were trying to be as competitive as we can with other school districts.
Is the administration team also considered not union staff?
We are listed in here separately. So the administrative staff, Dr. Avery Tatum has recommended an increase of 4.5% as a raise, which would be not just to district administrators, building administrators, which is the same raise that Unit 4 is also giving. So that's something to consider. I will say that for the CFO and CIO, the two people sitting next to me, the raise that Dr. Avery Tatum has recommended is a 5.5% raise. If you look at, both of these are sought after people in our community, and if you look at their salary comparisons in other school districts and just in markets in general, they are grossly underpaid.
Sid Lally, for additional context, it has always been our past practice that our administrators receive the same raise that our teachers are receiving, and our teachers this year in the 3-year contract are getting 4.5%.
Yeah, I
That's
forgot
how
to
we've
say that.
operated
Sorry.
ever since
That's
I've
how
been on the board.
Yeah.
Good questions.
All right, any other comments or discussion? A roll call vote is in order.
Member Langendorf, yes. Member Staton?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Baxley?
Yes.
Vice President Exum?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes. 12.4 is appointment of the 2024 Illinois Association of School Boards IASB Delegate Assembly. Takes place at the Association of School Boards Delegate Assembly in November. It's late November. It's a Triple I conference. I wholeheartedly recommend anybody could go who can afford the time to go up there. There's lots of professional development that happens up there. That's really useful. Part of that is that the association has a big meeting where a representative from every school district has the ability to vote on referenda before the entire body. I did that last year. So we need somebody to volunteer to be willing to do that. It can't be me this year because I'm expecting a grandchild around that time.
Congratulations.
I was thinking
I'm
it's
trying
gonna be
to coach
Tori's
Sherry.
last year, so maybe she'd wanna do it her last year.
Where is it going to be?
It's always in Chicago.
Yeah, right before Thanksgiving, the weekend before
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
it's a day they light the Christmas lights in Chicago. So that's always something that end up in a parade and all that. It's always a fun thing that happens that same weekend. So is there somebody willing to kind of at least pencil themselves in? We can change this before the date if things. Sherry. Then
I vote for Sherry.
So Sherry, it's been put on.
I
It's
move
been
second and vote all in one.
Let's do this officially. There's a motion on the floor to appoint Sherry Langendorf as a delegate assembly member. Is there a second?
She's like, wait a minute.
Does Sherry
this is
accept?
out of
I
order.
second.
Does Sherry accept?
I think I think the second year will be a little bit easier than it was this year going there, but sure.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any further comments or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much, Member Langendorf. 12.5 is our consolidated district plan 2023-24 approval. This is something we've already discussed.
Kim is not here tonight, but Tanya stayed to the very end in case there were questions on the plan. So.
But, yeah. Does anybody have any? First of all, is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Now, does anybody have any questions that since we last discussed this?
I've had a question about going back. It said on page 6, I think, about the going back to standards-based grades at the middle school, high school. And people are wondering about that.
I'm looking to see where that is. It's probably there. Well, I don't know. I think that it's a decision that we want to wait and see our next curriculum director, how they would like to approach it, how that would shape, and how we would move forward. There's a lot of advice that I think we would all share as to how to approach it differently, perhaps. And, right now it's on hold.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's a good question. Anybody else? Hearing none, I guess a roll call vote is in order for this as well.
Member Staton?
Yeah.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Baxley?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Exum?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes, there are calls for future special executive meetings. May 30th is an executive session at 6 p.m. That's our Laudermill hearing, correct?
Yes. It's what? Laudermill. It's a personnel hearing.
Personnel meeting for personnel matter, and then June 25th is our special meeting for the approval of the 6th grade center bidding documents. Superintendent's report.
Okay. Short one tonight since it is almost the end of the year. So as we've heard, Thursday is the UHS commencement ceremony. Tomorrow night is adult ed's graduation, and I know if you still plan to attend, please let Lori know because they like to have space for you. Adult ed's graduation is in Cobb Auditorium, and UHS will be at State Farm Center. So for anyone in the public listening and wanting to watch the ceremony but not go in person and deal with the crowd or the traffic, It will be live streamed again this year, so we've provided the link for you. Today, I had the pleasure of attending the executive internship recognition program. Amanda Rosser is in this picture on the right. She leads the program every year. We recognize our UHS students who go out in the community and work. They logged over 850 hours at different placement sites. I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. So some of the partners, Christie Clinic, Martin and Hood, Land of Lincoln Legal Aid, Champaign Urbana Public Health, City of Urbana, Moonlight Studio Tattoo. That one is interesting because it's an art student, Avalon Ogalski, who is an artist. So that one is really a different placement. Christie Clinic Orthopedics. We actually had a student, Isaac, who for the first time ever, we had an intern who was placed with a teacher at the high school with Laura Koritz. And he wants to be a teacher. And I talked to him afterwards. Oh, yeah. Yes, he did. And he was there, and he's really excited. He says he wants to take over all the initiatives that Laura and Mr. Foley are involved in when he becomes a teacher at our high school. So it's really exciting. IV Rehab for Kids. We had a placement with one of our nurses, Parker Schroeder, our previous board ambassador, wants to be a nurse, and he was placed with the school nurse at Dr. Preston Williams, and that was a great experience. MSA Professional Services, it's an engineering site, and Christie Clinic Pediatrics. So I know I didn't say the names of the students, but they're here too. But I also really wanted to just give a shout out to our sponsors. I know it is a huge effort to kind of take on a student and let them shadow and be involved. The students, Gabriella, Josh, Eve, Clara, Norsine, Isaac, Luna, Avalon, Parker, Tisa, Lorelei, and Alyssa all shared a little bit about their experiences today. So this is always one of my favorite little events to go to at the end of the year because the sponsors are so excited. The students just really get a chance to be in workspaces, and you know, they get to share. Like, this really solidified their decision about what they want to do when they grow up, right? So it's a great program, and I just want to give a shout out to Ms. Rosser for all of her hard work with it. Next is the Energy Awards. So hopefully you saw some of the coverage about this week. This is led by our teacher, industrial tech teacher at the high school, Mr. Westerman, Nathan Westerman. So Urbana High School has been named an honoree on the Path to Net Zero Energy in the Illinois Green Schools Project for its energy reduction and solar energy advocacy initiative. So it is a year-long project, and they're competing statewide, and so we're really excited about the fact that they were named an honoree. And shout out to Mr. Westerman for all the work that he's doing in the career and trade path, but this is a great program and brought a lot of positive exposure to Urbana High School. So summer meals, we are going to be promoting this basically wherever we can. So if you know families who may be struggling with food insecurity, we will be providing free breakfast and free lunch to children 18 and younger. So adults are not allowed to eat as part of the summer meal program, but students are, and so meals are offered Monday through Thursday in June and July, whatever sites where we have programming happening. So in the little boxes you can see when there's a program, then there will be an opportunity for summer meals. So if you have questions, just reach out to us. There are no meals served, and we have no programming on June 19th, which is Juneteenth, a federal holiday, and of course July 4th. We won't have any summer programming happening those days. Promotion ceremonies, if you are hoping to support any 5th graders being promoted to the middle school or 8th graders being promoted to our high school, please mark your calendars for those. Also, board members that are planning to attend the 8th grade promotion at UMS, please, if you haven't already, let us know, because we definitely like to have seating for you because it is pretty crowded. So Anyone planning to attend the 8th grade promotion at UMS, you should be arriving early so you can park. Just a word of advice. And then next, last week of school. So there was a little confusion on this because we had to add a day to our calendar because of the early heat day that we were out. It wasn't designated as a remote learning or virtual learning day because it happened the first week of school, so we didn't have plans or there was no learning that happened that day, so we had to make that day up. And so it did change our calendar a little bit. So we've been fielding questions at central office, so we wanted to make sure that this was really clear. So Monday is a holiday, so there's no school. Tuesday, regular attendance day for everyone. Wednesday, regular attendance day for everyone. Thursday, May 30th is the last day of school, and these are the early dismissal times for elementary, UMS, UHS, and no school for UECS. And I believe that is the last slide. You want to read FOIAs?
Sure. We had 4 FOIA requests, one from CK Gonzalez. All automated billing invoices received during this school year for any attorney or other legal services, and any correspondence related to them that relates to the charges. Tom Schroeder for all text messages sent or received by the superintendent that included public employees, included public officials, or pertain to public business. The term text message is inclusive of any similar short or instant message services since both 2 months, 1 month, and 2 weeks were denied. Messages from the last full week of January 2024, 21st to the 27th, are being requested. Tom Schroeder requesting administrative salary statements, salary offers, salary agreements, or similar records that provide current and approved administrator positions for the 2023-2024 and 2024-2025 school years. And Sherry Reed, a variety of vendor information. These FOIA requests were all completed. Board report. Does anybody have a board report for tonight? Go ahead, Sherry.
Just if, it was just mentioned about the adult ed graduation, I really encourage you to come because the speeches alone are just so heartfelt and so enlightening about what some of our students, what our families have had to go through in order to get to that point. And the accomplishments that they make are amazing based on what they have experienced. So if you can come, please let them know because they're not taping these. You have to come and hear them because they're wonderful. And also another announcement from Altrusa, they wrote an international grant and we got $2,330 for Tiger Market for next year. So we can start the year with food.
That's awesome. That's so great.
That's it.
Anyone else?
I'm going to shout out Lola. Yep, because she was going to say this earlier. Go ahead. Go for it.
Okay, just wanted to give a shout out to my granddaughter, Diamond Asia Taylor. She is at Kentucky. She's with the Kentucky Racers right now, and she's made it to regionals, and hopefully she'll go to state.
She was going to how all of our UMS athletes were here because Diamond Asia was a state champion when she was at UMS. But the students got up and left so quickly she didn't get to say it. But yeah, Diamond Asia was one of our really decorated state champions when she was at UMS, and that continued when she was at UHS. So great to see she's still doing it in college.
That's awesome. Anyone else?
I want to congratulate Dominica, who was a recipient of one of the CU Optimist Club scholarships. I know she got several of them, but the Optimist Club gives $1,000 cash to 3 students each year. Dominica was one of those winners. We also had a second Urbana winner, Savannah Blandon, who has helped the CU Optimist Club in various capacities over the years. So I want to congratulate those 2 students. I also want to let the public and those here know that the University of Illinois will have about 16 or 17 Urbana High School students working on campus this summer. It's a great experience where they come and they work within a unit on campus. We typically are matching them with an area of their interest, so they get a chance to kind of explore careers, make money, And then we do fun things on Fridays with them, which could be learning how to cook on a budget or learning how to budget their finances, kind of how to adult, as I call it, an adulting class. They'll tour different facilities like behind the scenes at State Farm Center or the football stadium, and at the end typically they get a chance to meet the chancellor who actually sponsors the full program. So we have students from different districts. They'll get to mingle with other students, but I think we had 16. We also have a branch of this program where we're bringing in college students, and 3 of the 5 college students are Urbana graduates. And so they will be coming and they will have a bit of a different kind of more internship experience in their area of their field that they're in. So I decided I don't talk too often about my professional life and the things we're doing at the university, but I think it's important to mention the collaborations that we have. We've been to Adult Ed 4 or 5 times this year to do mock interviews and resume help, and we'll do a little bit more of that this year, as well as getting more into the high schools, what kind of trying to reach some of the students who are both interested in going to school, but specifically those who we sometimes miss that are looking at trades or that simply just are not going to college, and making sure that the university is doing their part in making sure that those students have a place on campus as well, and that we are preparing them before they get to that point. So that's it for me.
Can I add one more, Paul? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Paul was not able to attend the retiree dinner last week, and hopefully you saw the video. You shared that with board members as well. So I just wanted to shout out our 14 retirees that represent 264 years of service. So we had 7 in attendance last week, but we have 14 altogether. So hopefully you watched the video and you saw all the wonderful things that their administrators and people they've worked with for a long time had to say about them. So yeah.
So,
I'd be remiss not to mention my granddaughter graduating this week, Alicia Williams. Yeah.
From the high school.
Oh,
wow. So we'll have to tell you how to do that, Lola.
that's a great perk. Any other board report? The chair would then entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. All right. See you in 2 weeks.